Oh, you need to go that way a bit more. Or that way.
Which way?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. Nah, I can't right now. God damn it.
Oh, that's fine. That's mostly fine. See if I can tweak you in post. Have you got any more? Oh, no, that's the end of your screen. No, you're fine. There you go. It's the intro portion.
Right. All right. So
How
let's
do
see.
we look? That's the question. Click on live stream and see how amazing do we look. Well, not amazing. I mean, you guys tell us.
We're gonna wait for people to show up, obviously.
I think we look pretty good. Although, on my Skype it said poor network connection there for a second. It's like, oops.
That's gonna happen. It's happened before.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Welcome to Sunday evening or afternoon. Or morning if you're in Australia, probably.
Hey guys, hi. You look okay. I can finally catch you live. Yay! Oh, there's Joe. I'm gonna make him happy and make him in.
What do you guys think of our new, custom, very minimal effort display thing for this? We're going to be showing images as we go, because obviously we're talking about, we're doing the review. We didn't feel like we could, show the show, because that'd actually be copyright, So we're going to show the same images we used originally for our first episode, which is nice because we'll have a similar. We're not going to do the exact same review, obviously, but we'll have similar things to go off of, and so it'll be really interesting to then go back to the original review, which we did, and say, oh wow, look, we did this or we said that. Because I remember a couple of years ago, Stuart, I was watching a review with my parents. They said, oh, I want to watch this ship, and I think it was like a Rhode Island special or something. And we got to a certain point, and we went to a new picture, and I said something out loud, and then me and the TV said the same point because I forgot I said it, and you associate certain things, so it's like, well, yeah, I thought the same both ways. So
I do that a lot when I'm editing my captain's logs together. I'm like watching it back, and I'm like, I hope I say, yeah, I did. Okay, good.
Yep. Oh, someone's watching the Manhattan. Nice, Spudzilla. Manhattan's good. So you won't be streaming the ep, so we watch it on a separate stream. No, we're going to show, I mean, we've all seen the episode, and this is a year old, so hopefully everyone knows the episode. I mean, this would be a hell of a... If people's first interaction with Discovery is by this stream, it's a hell of a weird stream to start with. A rewatch or a review a year late of a separate YouTube... No, go watch it. But we've got pictures and things, and as you can see, guys, we'll scroll between them all. It's got, the entire episode in some form, as you can see. Zoom, 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 zoom. I can even then bring up, I guess, the other episodes if we need to, because they're all available, because I still have all the original files. So it's retrospective review. New fan Star Trek, your channel's recommended so far. I'm enjoying DS9. Cool, welcome.
Yes, welcome everyone.
And it's funny, so I watched this about 2 hours ago. I made 3 pages of notes. 3 pages of full A4 notes. So, I don't know. They might be the same things I said last time. They might not. I'm excited to go back and rewatch the old review and say, what did Sam from a year ago think about this? I don't know. Do you guys remember? Do you remember what you said, Stuart?
Nope.
So I'm going to post this to everyone on Facebook if you wanna chat to the community and vamp for a bit.
Oh, Ian, £5. Thank you. Hey, I have said.
Hey, Ian, you won the chat first thing. Amazing. Thank you. Just say.
Hey, I have to say that things like reviews are exactly what I want from a live chat. Hopefully, it will lead to some interesting and fair discussions. Yeah, we plan on doing a rewatch up until the new series, this season comes out. So we're gonna watch all of them. So.
And we
Baz,
did try and do a watch review of TOS and such, but it does take an entire day to make this review, despite this live is much more streamlined and you guys get to interact and do live questions. This might be the perfect formula to do review, especially if the pictures come up and we can do it all together. So this could be really exciting. If you guys tune in and love it, this could be a thing we do from now on.
So yeah, Baz, £2. Evening, guys. Nice to see you both again. Well, thank you, Baz. Much appreciated. All right, let's see what we got here. We got 82 people on so far, which is all right. It's all right, all right, all right. So I just readjusted my camera a little bit. Got to see my L cars, man. See the L cars up here? You got to see that. It's part of the charm. €5 from Luke. How dare you stream at the same time as the great anti-trekker? Well, you go tell anti-trekker that Captain Foley is streaming and that he needs to tune in and watch. It's his fault for streaming in our time. We do this every Sunday, so he's missing out. You guys aren't. Although I do enjoy Anti-Trekker's live streams, I tune in quite frequently, as you guys may or may not know. And he's good to watch. So I recommend the Anti-Trekker. There. He got his free publicity put in for today. We do want to have him on the show at some point, I think, to talk about the Borg. He's very interested in doing that. And he's got some interesting views and things, so I think we might bring him on. And but I'm not sure when that's happening. So
I mean, we're not shy of having other YouTubers join the page. I mean, we've had obviously Space Doc and Irish Trekkie and Trek Collector. You know, we're not shy to that sort of thing, to collabs and to.
We love helping people out too. We're all a community of people that look at Star Trek, and you know, the YouTube community of the Star Trek group should be interwoven, should help each other out. So we like to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, we are a community after all.
Yeah. £5 from Ian. As usual, work prevents me from staying with you, but I hope my support helps along with others. I will catch this later. All right, well, thank you very much. Yeah, please do watch it later. Lives aren't quite as fun when you can't interact live, but
you still get the live banter. The amazing banter.
The amazing banter.
Well, to be fair, if you actually watch our episodes, most of our edits are when we either flub specifically or like have to remove stuff just for time. Like we don't really, if you watch, there's very few edit points. So it really is just us. This is just us. You can chat to us. Lots of us.
Yeah. So I got to say, I'm going to start this off now because we got 120 people watching while you're still sharing stuff, Samuel.
Yeah.
A Bird of Prey 5, $2. Thank you. Keep up the good work, but you've been warned. Ooh.
Well, if you can, anyway, he's got Chang, so if the guy can fly while cloaked, we should be wary of this Klingon man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, as I was going to say, I really rewatching this after having not seen it for quite a while.
Had you ever rewatched it?
No. Yeah. Not this one. I've watched maybe parts of some of the other ones, but
not
a full episode, and not the first episode because the first episode's shite.
So first time watching it in 12 months and like 4 days.
Not quite.
Well, it came out a year and like 4 days ago. So.
Well, there you go. All right. So yeah. Anyway, I was going to say I've actually rather enjoyed it this time around. There was a lot of aspects to it I really liked. Still a lot that I believe I initially said that I didn't like, but we'll get into that as we get there. But overall, I did rather enjoy it more than I thought I would. So there is that. Alexander sent $5.
Oh my God! Thank you.
I have been waiting for this all week. Go Team Trekyards. Well,
thank you.
Thank you. All right. So
awesome.
So that's my first thought on rewatching this. I rather enjoyed it quite a bit more, and I'm looking forward to hearing what Samuel thinks because we haven't really talked about this. So what did you think about rewatching it?
Well, it's a weird one because I remember watching it for the first time and not what I thought as much as the feelings I had. The great potential of what it could be. Okay, we knew that the visuals were a bit weird, but the story could be absolutely amazing, you know. And starting and thinking, okay, it's an interesting intro, and it's sort of, you don't know what to think as you watch it. You know, you notice the really nice bits, the little icings on the cake, like hearing the TOS sounds on the bridge, the Klingon bridge sound effects. You know, lots of little things you're like, oh, this is brilliant. But now having known exactly where the show goes, I was watching it and I was trying to desperately see the planning, the foreshadowing, how the characters don't develop.
Did you enjoy it or not? That's the question.
I felt somehow I was able to divorce myself from the rest and thought this show has so much potential. I thought that again.
Well, we got to jump in. Ian sent another £2. By the way, 2 SC is greater than Char, and £10 this week, as this week is important. I don't know what that means. I think he tried to shorten it to fit it in the 2-pound limit for characters.
Right.
So I apologize. Just put it in the normal chat. I'll see if I can see it.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry for interrupting you. You were. I just wanted the quick first reaction. You enjoyed it or not?
I did. Because I still maintain this is one of the best. This is a decent Star Trek episode, but on the low end of decent. Because it also makes you hopeful for what's to come. And I again felt that despite knowing where it goes. You know what I mean? Because there's some nice sciencey bits, sort of. There's some nice mystery. You know, so I was like, oh, this is interesting again. But it is weird. I would think that despite knowing how it sort of falls apart a bit, it's like, oh, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. This is, yeah. Does that make sense?
As much as you can make, yes. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so
the intro then, the Klingons, the first bit with the Kuvamach.
What did I write? As the Klingon language is very distracting. However, it works very well in this first establishing scene. If they weren't sounding like they have something in their mouth, like a mouthful of marshmallows. I do love the fact that it was all in Klingon. That would have been a great opening to kind of establish the Klingon language. But then later in the series or the season, you need to do it in English so they can get more of that that emotion across, the emphasis on emotion, as we've talked about. But before continuing, Collab sent $5.
Oh my god, thank you.
Afternoon, Captain and Commander. Captain Foley, did you hear about how the episode Runaway will be airing on the Space Channel on Thanksgiving Sunday? Samuel sent it to me. Yeah, it's airing at like 3:10 or something. I can't remember. But yeah, it's like 20 minute time slot between Doctor Who's.
Send it to me somehow, Stuart.
I'll try.
We must review. So do you like this intro scene? Because this is the start of Discovery.
No.
Okay.
It was intriguing to see the Klingons right off the hop, and like I said, it does kind of work for an opening scene. I just wish I wasn't so distracted by the like a mouthful of spit, you know.
Makes you appreciate Tyler has a bit more of a cadence. This guy is very like he's very over.
Yeah.
But I guess heavy-handed is meant to be part of the character, you know.
Yeah.
He wasn't elegant. Yeah, my first reaction, and you can see in this screen cap, his face is really shiny. Like, straight away, because the entire first bit is the quality of the makeup, the quality of this being an alien race, and straight away you think, damn, that looks like amazingly good, fake, shiny, non-skin. Like, it doesn't really hold up, it looks very weird, whereas if it was a normal Klingon makeup, like a Worf, but with really seamed edges, you'd zoom out and think, that was a guy's face. That's really
the thing is too, his makeup and is so dark.
Yeah, it's weirdly
you almost need that shiny reflective, you know, to see any kind of detail in it. But just better lighting would have been awesome, guys. I know they're on an ancient ship and there's like flames everywhere and whatever, but
it's distracting how like shiny, and it doesn't look right, it doesn't look real. And obviously it focuses on, you know, the nose being really out of proportion and the ears being not there. It's like all these things like, oh, this is a and honestly, well, because now again we know the plot, we know how this doesn't end up in a war properly. My first note was, for a race that hasn't had any contact with the Starfleet in 100 years, why does it start with Zakuvma saying the Federation will incorporate them into themselves and we need to stay Klingon? You haven't interacted with these guys in 100 years. Why are you so worried about being Klingon? It comes from nowhere. It's not at all irrational. I know he's a radical, but I don't see any, now knowing how limited of a point that is in the show, how it's just this one guy and that's basically abandoned. It doesn't work as a premise. In TNG, if it was post-TNG with how they, you know, were friends for decades, that would work absolutely amazingly. But for right now, 100 years you've barely seen each other. What makes you think the Federation's all of a sudden gonna turn you into Federation citizens? That makes no sense. It breaks down the first scene, the story breaks down. It's very strange.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
But moving to the next... Oh, before we do that, we got Alexander, another $5. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I wonder what a TNG era makeup to Kuvama would look like. It would look like a Klingon with hair.
Well, no, I would say have him be a bald cult. That's great. Love it. Have him be a bald cult.
Yeah, we talked about that early on too, eh?
Well, just
Um,
refine it a bit. Oh, thanks, handle tag. Appreciate it. So that was the first bit, and then my notes aren't written very
well,
neat.
the next
Yeah.
scene, the next thing I got to say is Burnham and Giorgio on another planet. I thought it was very interesting, to be honest. It opened up that exploratory Star Trek vibe,
Yep.
a new
Straight into Star
planet.
Trek. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you get to see the communicator, which is a nice
Yep.
callback to a nice redesign of the communicator, but still looks pre TOS, which is
Yep.
really nice.
And beautiful
Really
beam
well,
out effect.
yeah, really well done. But before that, I'm wondering why their tricorders weren't working because they had to do the delta in the sand. Like, couldn't they? Because we need a star to find our way. Well, you probably have a tricorder. It's probably working. It can tell you which way is north. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. There's a few things that fall apart there, but I did like the overall feel of that first scene. It was very Star Trek, the exploration, the alien planet. You get to see an alien,
Yep.
the alien pods above.
Yep.
It was just really well done, and it felt Star Trek.
It's a really nice surface level scene. Like, again, this whole episode, again, the first time I watched it, it's like, oh, where's it going? Where's it going? Okay, nowhere. But it's fine. It's nice. Moving on. But now you know where it's going. I was able to actually analyze every bit because there's no spoilers. There's no build. You know everything, right? So straight away I thought, they're going to this well, right? Why don't they beam to the well? They knew where it was.
Yeah, well, yeah. Just before you jump off on that, Dale Stafford sent $5.
Oh, thank you.
So we don't need to queue up the episode. I think most have access to the episodes to follow in real time. Thanks, you guys are slicking red. We're not going to do it real time because we have live chats coming in, which we have to address. So it's going to be kind of all over the place. It's just basically, watch it when you get the chance. If for next week, watch episode 2 before we do the live, maybe, because we can't do it real time. We can't show it, obviously. So,
Yep.
and we are going to be jumping all over the place because it is super chat. We need to address your questions and comments as well.
Jump around.
So we're going to get off track. So if you're watching it, I mean, you'd be pausing a lot, and I don't know how that would work. This is an experiment.
Yes.
We'll find it as we go.
It's the Trekyards.
But we are sleek and we are rad.
Because the whole point of this mission is, and they mention it was good expositional dialogue, although I felt it weird that they should wait until they're on the planet going towards the thing they need to go to explain what they're doing there. I don't like exposition when it doesn't quite make sense, because you can integrate it in dialogue to where you're telling a new character, like, like they have a third person and that person wasn't told what mission was, so as they're walking with purpose, they're telling the red shirt that dies the mission. That's clever, but why is the captain who chose the mission telling the second in command, who she picked for the mission while they're currently halfway through the mission? It's just
because
for the audience.
We don't know what's going on.
But
yes.
it's a lazy way of doing it.
They could have done it. They could have done it better by having the tricorder and recording captain's log explaining what they're doing,
which they do in the next scene
on the fly,
which works a lot better. Yeah. But I just thought, if they're there not to interfere with an alien race, beam to the well, because they're never scanning for it. They just walk to it, which means they know where it is. Which means just beam to it, and then they shoot it. That's fine. But they walk through the planet and see the creatures, so they did their job very poorly. And again, I saw the creature, brilliant, but what a waste of budget, because how much did that cost to R&D, build, animate, in terms of animators? Put that towards CG budget, please. Like, what a waste. He's never appears again. Like, you know what I mean? Use the budget wise. That's not a good use of budget. And then they sell the Ion Storm, whatever is gonna interfere. There's a spaceship in orbit, right? A spaceship with a crew, a talented crew, probably. And I love how Burnham instantly assumes, oh, we're going to be stuck here for 89 years. There's a spaceship in orbit who's got transporters, shuttles, it can go in the atmosphere. Do you really think it would take them 89 years to be able to find you? Why? I know Giorgio's chill about it, but it's like, why are they even worried? They're not gonna leave them after.
There's a storm coming and they can't beam through the storm. That's
but then
the
they
vibe
can
I
take a
got
shuttle
from
down, or
I
put
know
the shields and go down. Like,
I know
the characters don't. It doesn't quite connect. Burnham, because we know what she's like. She would be starting to develop a plan, but she just says, "We're stuck here now," and Giorgio's like, "Doesn't matter, walk with me." So Giorgio's come up with a basic plan, and Burnham's not thinking of anything, and then it just doesn't connect, because like you said, they should have a transporter beacon which would go through the signal. They should have a shuttle come in. They should say, well, spaceship knows where the well is. They just collect us. Like, there's no risk here. It's a weird scene. It's a scene that nothing inside the scene works, but the scene as a build-up works. You know what I mean? Like, it's the most throwaway, but I just wish that it had integrated better. Because like the scene from Beyond is the initiator of the plot and Star Trek, and it sets up how he's tired about doing the same thing all the time. This doesn't connect to anything. It doesn't even really set them up that well, even. You know what I mean? It's just another, like, it doesn't quite work sort of scene. I don't know if I felt that first time.
But I gotta admit, the scene where the Shenzhou comes through the cloud, or the dust cloud, it's really cool.
Oh, I need to scroll to that, don't I?
Yes, okay. Well, I'm reenacting it, so it's fine.
Sound effects.
Oh, we both have one. Yay. Nerds.
Also, beautiful model, beautiful ship. And again, such a cool promise for more with this. And
one overarching thing I noticed when watching this again, I did enjoy it, like I said, but it was after TNG.
Oh, yeah.
Just all the sets, everything would work beautifully as a post-TNG. And I feel bad for, harping on the TOS thing, but it's got to be said if they say it's Prime. And I don't know. Anyway, moving along.
I know we've had some already, but guys, do you want to give us a brief of what a Super Chat is, just so the general audience knows what and why?
Well, you can. You know what the Super Chat is. You always make me do it.
I do. Sorry, Super Chats. Yeah, this channel looks at Trek, all sorts of Trek, and this is a new thing we're trying, and lives allow fans to directly support what we're doing directly and talk to us. We have a great community, and obviously we've released content for years now, and we've sometimes commented in the comments and sometimes on Facebook, but it's a direct way of you saying hi, have a question, and for topics like this, you can throw in your own thought, because with the Super Chat, we're going to see it. That's that's the whole point. So for $1, we will read your comment as a scene we're going or whatever, have your voice heard, and that money directly goes into support this channel. And the more we get, the more we can do, and the more safe we are to know we can continue for years to come. Because that was kind of a rocky bit, but now it's this is all helping a lot. So Super Chats are very important. So thanks.
Speaking of, Alexander sent a $2 one, and he asked a question: could the TOS Enterprise enter an atmosphere? Theoretically, no, but it can as well. And yes, tomorrow is yesterday. They are in the atmosphere of Earth, and they're trying to get out, but it's very hard on the ship because it's not designed for it. They got slingshot into the atmosphere, and we're trying to pull away. And the saucer can, when it separates, it can land, theoretically. So yes and no is the answer. It's really not designed for that. It's really hard on the structural integrity field of the ship to hold it together in an atmosphere. Yeah. So not really. But kind of.
And I was fine with them doing this, because they saw it was enough implied that that this was a bad storm. Although it would have been nice if it had gone through the clouds and the shields were getting impacts of like discharge. That'd be kind of cool. Like show more of a threat. Because again, it was very easy. Yeah, still a beautiful visual. And obviously they beam out, and the Delta, I doubt she could have made the Delta that perfect. I doubt Burnham didn't notice. She's meant to be the smartest person ever, who calculates the storm by sight and then gets it hours wrong. Anyway, so fun. It was very nice to start with a Star Trek scene. It was just very poorly written. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Into Darkness scene. It's like, oh, that's a scene. Nothing connects.
Well, that's the ongoing issue with all of Discovery, is it's got some great ideas, but they're very, very poorly written overall. Yeah. It does have its moments of great writing, don't get me wrong.
Oh, some good stuff in this episode as well. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, but overall, kind of misses the mark when it comes to writing. So.
Yeah, I also wrote, why isn't Shinja just tracking the technology? They've got the most advanced technology on the planet. Why aren't they just scanning for advanced technology and just detecting them?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's not
that goes back to my tricorder comment. Like,
yeah,
use your tricorder. I mean, it could be that the captain was trying to teach, Burnham a lesson of some kind, but it didn't come off that way. It just came off as them not using what they have,
Well,
equipment-wise.
Speaking of teaching, they said 7 years together, which is a good setup. And Giorgio says, maybe it's time to think of you getting your own command. What do you think about that? Especially as you know who the character is and where she goes. Because that's one of the first things we know about her, is that her chief wants her to have a command.
Well, one thing I'll jump off on that in just a second. But the one thing I noticed, they called her a xenoanthropologist, which I had completely forgotten she was.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to note that. And the fact that, yes, 7 years together, time for a captaincy, it's fine. It's a great place to start this character. Like, you know that they have a history together.
Yep.
You know how long it is. That's, 7 years is,
Long time.
TNG, Voyager,
Yep.
Deep Space Nine, the whole run of the series. So you know that there's that trust and camaraderie built up between them. So for her offering her own command, it opens up, okay, well, this character Burnham is somebody that, we're going to want to follow because, she's got experience. She knows what she's doing. And then that just falls apart from there.
Yeah. Yeah, later on, obviously, she deals with the tardigrade, spoilers. But then, she's never, the Xeno thing doesn't come into it again. Throughout the rest of the plot, she's always just scientist lady. Xenobiologist is a very unique field. Like, super, super specialist. I'm sure she's good in general, but that should surely compare to Spock. Spock is a scientist. General astro scientist. She's a biologist. So
the science officer, like Saru said, I'm the,
Yeah.
He said he was a science officer and he could do more than read the information off a display, which we'll get to in a minit. So yeah, she's not a science officer. She specializes in xenoanthropologist, and we never see it again. I mean, we might eventually, but
Spock is definitely more capable than this woman. But basically they wrote that in the first 4 episodes, and they just didn't mention it again because they thought we'd forget it, which we did. So good shout. But I thought it was strange. 7 years is a while, but she went straight from the Vulcan, the Vulcan teachings, given a free officership by her father as a favor. That doesn't qualify you for a full command of a Federation starship. Like, Kirk was in Starfleet, the Academy for years, ensign, lieutenant commander, second in command, lost a ship, then given a command. This woman was in school, award to Sarek, second in command of a ship, off a command. Like, that's again, Discovery telling us she's amazing, but not backing it up, and I do not buy that she would be given a command. Like, especially since Shinjo's an old ship, they say that. This is not a prestigious assignment. You're not like the second pilot. Like, say, I'm recommending you for the Enterprise, second in command. Now, if they said that, I'm going to recommend you to, that would be cool. Or the Admiral on the Admiral's flagship as a lead scientist,
Yeah, to drop the Enterprise that early on would be like too much of a fan service.
Nice, though. It's like it sets up how important the Enterprise is. It's like, well, it wasn't a flagship, to be fair. Use the Constitution and say, I'm gonna recommend you as second in command of Constitution. They're being launched this year. Boom, reference done. Move on.
We got a $5 super chat from Colton Anderson. The writing was pretty spotty all the way through season 1 of Disco.
It got better.
Yes,
it did get better.
It did get better in spots. Overall,
yeah. But it was so interesting seeing how they introduce these characters again, and like, because I recently read the Convergence script, which you obviously saw the video version of. So, and I wrote a fan film recently as well for another group. So it's like I've been writing recently. So important to make every single moment really be important and reflect, and it just didn't quite work. But then we skip a bit. Shinjo at warp, and this whole setup, this whole sequence. What do you think now? Second viewing.
Next thing I had written. Well, we learned that it's May 11th. It's a Sunday. It's 22:56.
That was cute. That's good writing. Yeah.
So it establishes where we are in the timeline.
Yep.
I still do not like the warp effect. It looks too fluidic and too watery. I'm not a huge fan, I gotta say. I prefer just the streaking stars. I get that they're distorting space. Yes, I understand this. But come on, guys. This has been an established Star Trek thing since forever. I mean, in TOS, we never really saw the warp effect. We saw it like once or twice in the remastered. But that bothered me a little bit. But the rest of that intro scene felt, again, very, very Star Trek. Going to fix a satellite, some mysterious thing. it was really well done, and it felt Star Trek for that first little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But again, I kept thinking the whole time, this would be better after TNG. Just leave the ship, the spacesuit, everything the way it is. It'd be perfect. You know.
Yeah, this is probably the best. This is the best part of this episode: the mystery, the science, the exploration, the everyone's doing their job, sort of. Everyone's being sort of positive, you know, moving forward. The visuals are great. This is probably the best visual of one of this. Before they get to the battle stuff, episode 2, this is the best visual effects of the entire series. Probably this star sequence, the star location. But again, once they built that for one shot, they use it multiple times. So they put a lot of money into it. This confused me a little bit because again, poor writing. I guess they don't want to spoil it, but we knew from the trailers. So they mentioned specifically. We're at the edge of Federation space. Thingy's been damaged. We don't know what or whom has dealt with it. If you're at the edge of Klingon space, and first of all, they should say, we're at the edge of Klingon Federation space. Don't just say edge of Federation space. Which border are you on? Because if you're not at the edge of Klingon space, that's a long way for Klingons to go. Because at the edge of space, there's other space. So are you on the Klingon border? If you are, probably Klingons damaged your thing. So it doesn't take much of a leap just to imply the edge of Klingon space, it's been damaged, we're trying to work out who. So the fact that he sort of ignored that for a bit, because I don't buy that all the Klingon fleet could go to the Romulus side of the Federation space. Like, you know what I mean? It's whatever. It just set a place and work out where. Yeah.
I'm just going to hit a few points in this opening scene that I want to talk about. After I address Wayback Text, $10 donation, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Discovery would have been perfect as a Phase 2 era show. I think that was a big mistake. I think that was the biggest mistake beside the Klingons. Thanks for the new series, and I really want more of these live streams. You got it. We'll be doing more of them for sure.
Phase 2 is interesting, actually. I could see it a little bit, like just like a visually updated Phase 2. Because you can kind of buy that more. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like seeing the work bee was nice. I was really impressed with the sets when I first saw them. Although, again, as I said, not pre-TOS.
It was the sound effects though. They bring you in with a sense of.
I knocked that down. I wrote that down. I said the sound effects were spot on, perfect.
Where did they go? Where did they go?
You hear them in every episode. There's one or two that are there.
But I mean,
right.
the bridge ambiance was TOS. And it sounded gorgeous. Where did that go? That should have been every episode. It would have really.
Well, it sounded 260s. Because it looked the 60s looked like cardboard and fake, and the sound was awful. So of course they couldn't continue that.
Sure, if you showed a person who hasn't seen Star Trek, this background sound effect, which decade is that from? 2018, because you meant in 2018.
Sounds like a submarine.
No,
sounds like a submarine because I hear a sonar. Yeah, no. I know. Anyway, so I don't know if there's anything you want to talk about, because the next thing I want to talk about is her landing on the unknown object.
Oh, God,
after I address Dale Stafford's $2. Thank you.
God, thank you.
All the efforts to blend in, then the ship plows in.
Oh yeah, it's true with the planet. Yeah, because that's not going to cause a ruckus. Just send a shuttle. Seriously, do the Galaxy Quest. Have a tricorder making a noise, and have a shuttle come pick you up. Your spaceships, goddammit. This is not a problem. It really isn't. And if it is a problem, say it in the dialogue. Say, we can't scan shuttles. I mean, they say it in the next scene, well, we can't do shuttles. Like, if you make a problem and then stick to it. So this scene, I know I said this the first time round. Burnham is such a dick to Saru, and I hate their interaction in this episode.
You were going to say that again.
I don't buy it at all. He was there 7 years ago. We see that next episode. They've known each other 7 years. She is mean to him. She denigrates him. She actively checks his work and undoes his stuff. After
and pushes him out of the way. Yeah, just disrespectful.
And the captain lets her and encourages her to do that with a look, saying he's not good enough. 7 years. These are people who met yesterday and filmed a scene together. The character writing is atrocious. Now, Saru is very well written in this episode. He's actually one of his best episodes. Is this episode?
I make I make that point as well because I really enjoyed his character. I said this early on too.
Yeah.
But as the season goes on, his character just becomes nothing interesting.
Yep.
But I really enjoyed him in this first episode and the second episode. And I got to say it here now that these first two episodes, we don't see Discovery till episode 3.
Yeah.
And the show is called Discovery. This should have been established in flashbacks, I think.
Flashbacks. Yep, like nightmares.
It would have been a lot better than its own.
Yep.
Matthias Berggren, NOK 20. Review the.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will.
We haven't got a 3D model of it. That's literally why.
That's one of them. Yeah, we could do pictures and stuff, but you know.
We want to do better. You've been waiting for a while. What I like about Saru is that he correctly analyzes the situation. He sensibly, correctly, and professionally analyzes it. Burnham uses too much attitude, denigrates him, and has the wrong tactic. And as the episode goes on, she gets worse and worse. It's just the disrespect level. I mean, I guess they're trying to do a McCoy and Spock. They're really doing a Pulaski and Data, and Pulaski was fired. The actress, because that was their thing, and actually it ended up being mean. So they've done another TNG season 3, and obviously they went down from that. It improved, but in terms of like, they should have been really good friends. They should have been really solid, seeing who can scan it first. You know, Saru doesn't work out what it is, and so you see a cool trick where she pulls his screen onto hers, it clones it, and then she works out, and then the camera turns to her station, she's working out, he's like, oh, fine then, you know, you did it first.
But this is where he steps in and says, you know, I'm the science officer, I can do more than just read information on a screen.
Oh god, can you imagine how many times a week is he mentioning that? Seriously, 7 years.
You would think a lot by the way they're acting. Yeah, they're acting like children.
Okay, something
officers.
Bad might have just happened. They hate each other right now, that's fine, but the chemistry is appalling given how right he is in this episode, how wrong she is in this episode. But that said, Giorgio plain but good, and actually I noticed the secondary guy, the Tom. What I don't know what his name is. Sorry, he dies twice.
We never know their names. That's the problem. We know
they're
nobody's
not
name.
People, are they? They're just vocal things. But he had some good lines in this. Actually, I appreciate how, because obviously he was the guy they were focusing on in a later scene, so they gave him a little bit more to do, but not a lot. Yeah, so a bit of a weird one. Then they go into the briefing room, and again, she doesn't quite get the point of everything, and yeah, it doesn't quite connect.
Yeah, and the fact that they can't see the object because it's got some kind of sensor masking and all that, that's fine. I really liked the addition of the telescope.
Yes.
It's a great thing to have on a starship if there is something like a sensor
the emergency
masking.
telescope.
It was a nice use of it's just something she brought along as like an antique, because you see captains always bringing antiques aboard, like Picard always did, and you know Kirk had some in his quarters as well. So that was great and a nice use of it too. It's like, this sensor masking is going to mask this thing. I thought that was a nice little nod, which I didn't really notice the first time I watched it. But I liked it. I appreciated it for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't quite make sense. I don't buy for a second that telescope could actually see that far. Because Saru very sensibly kept the ship at maximum sensor range, which was a great little bit of dialogue, and he knew what he was doing. I don't think a telescope could... It was probably a sci-fi telescope with cool...
Well, it could have been antique telescope that she upgraded with more modern optics.
Yeah, it should have like a cool zoom effect, and like, you know what I mean. It's a really cool idea, but they should have been closer. Like, it would have worked in TNG when like a ship is just outside the ship, and it's visibly, but they couldn't see it with the naked eye. It didn't quite connect for me. That would have been a perfect. That's a TNG scene right there. Mm-hmm. They go to Picard's office. He has one perfect situation. And okay, so at this point, has Giorgio made an impression at all to you? This amazing legendary captain who's in every scene so far?
Nope. Not at all. She just tends to be pushed around by her first officer.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, she's. I mean, I realize that they just had this conversation about her being a captain, so she might be letting her take the reins more and kind of stepping back. But it doesn't feel that way. It feels like she's giving her
not
too
the lead
much.
of the series.
Yeah, yeah. Dale Stafford, $2. She's
Oh.
bloody rude and later even eats Kelpians. Well, not her.
Okay, I'll spoil it. Yeah, that's some wonderful foreshadowing actually. Saru mentions.
Yeah, you'll unstring like noodles. He said with her despooling if she.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't
And as soon as I heard noodles, I thought of ramen noodles, and then I thought of his ganglia, and I'm like, oh,
didn't
good
pick
God.
up on that. Actually, I didn't hear that at all. That's nice.
Oh, the Mr. Pete channel needs 500 subs, $2. Galileo's telescope saw the moons of Jupiter. True enough, and that's quite a distance. So.
Okay, cool, corrected. Hey, if you can justify it, I'll take it. But the Saru thing, he mentioned that they're a cattle race. That's nice foreshadow of him being eaten by them later on. Like bred to be cattle. That's a very like not bred to be slaves, to be cattle. Cattle is food. That's genuine foreshadowing. Very little of that in this episode, but that was nice. I said, as soon as Shinjo Bridge came up, I said, that's just the Discovery set. As soon as it walked in, I was like, that's just the Discovery Bridge. And that's just the Discovery Corridor. That's just the Discovery crew quarters. Like, it's just the same set redressed. But this ship is old. This ship is like 20 years old. Discovery is brand new. It doesn't make any sense to me that these ships would look similar internally, especially considering how different the D to the E looked. Even the refit to the Excelsior looked. Even, the TOS Connie to the Discovery being a few years apart because the Discovery Connie was launched first. It's just like, come on, guys. If you knew you were going to do this, build a smaller Shinjo set that was very different, that looked like the NX-01 or the Kelvin or whatever, and then use the big Discovery set. It felt exactly the same, and it shouldn't, except obviously with the Kelvin influences, because it's clearly the art design's clearly. I mean, the consoles, the chairs, the all Kelvin inspired. Clearly, you can tell the art director took that and ran with it, which theoretically makes sense, except they don't own the license, so it doesn't make sense. But it does make sense timeline wise for Franklin and Kelvin itself. But I just didn't like. I was just like, wow, that is just the Discovery Bridge. Like, it's just.
But we don't know what the Discovery Bridge looks like at this point, do we?
Oh, Discovery, is that in this? Is that? I thought they're just discovering stuff.
There's actually a ship called Discovery.
Oh, didn't
don't
know that.
you know? Yeah,
I didn't.
Neither did I until episode.
It's not in this episode, so who knows?
Right. The next scene with the spacesuit, I gotta admit, I really loved the spacesuit. I loved her going out on the hull and seeing her upside down from the bridge was really cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of dangerous, but she volunteered for it. The captain thought she could do it.
Yeah.
Saru's like, don't know if we should. But of course, when you're afraid of everything, you'll never learn anything, is what she said. So,
and again, doesn't feel like a conversation you have with somebody after 7 years. They must have had that. That's a first day meeting conversation.
That's for the audience because we don't know anything about it.
I know.
She heads over to this thing and she's not sure. She says it's ancient. It's very ancient. Not sure if it's constructed or really liked. I thought that was interesting because it does look like.
You zoned out there for a second. What did you say? Skype went away.
Oh, what was the last thing you heard me say?
Oh, just you saying about literally the last thing you said. I didn't hear what the last thing you said.
Oh, just that when she got over to the artifact or whatever, she wasn't sure if it was constructed or carved, which I really liked because it does seem very gothic, as we've talked about with the design styles, and it does seem carved. So I love that. And she said it was very ancient, which I don't know if ever gets really brought up again. Yeah, well, anyway. So I thought that was really cool. And then, of course, the torchbearer shows up and, searching database for iconography, and it locks on the actual Klingon symbol, which later she says it identified a symbol of a particular house. There's this one, yes.
Oh, I didn't pick up on
that. Klingon house insignia on Torchbearer's EVA suit was a specific house she mentions. So there's 24 houses. We've already established this. So the actual Klingon symbol that we're all love and are used to is a specific house. So I'm wondering if that's going to tie in later to bring the Empire together.
Or at least that pointy variation, because it was pointier, it was more aggressive than the standard one.
Yes.
Because you could have iterations on a theme,
Yeah. I just wanted to point that out. So I thought the Torchbearer armor was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a huge fan of the new Batleth design because we've kind of talked about how impractical it was before.
Which we saw in the episode. It was built impractical so that he could get killed in 5 seconds.
Yes.
Strange.
But yeah, that's as far as I'll go there, and then you can.
Well, and I want to address a non-super chat because I thought it was interesting. Because we're saying all these things, and we should address a couple of them if they disagree. And I had it, and I lost it. Something about view screens. Oh yeah, you like the telescope, but not the bridge window. That's hypocritical.
No.
I think it's like saying you like the replicator but hate the Picard vineyards, or you hate vineyards, but they're not the same thing. They happen to have a relic of a bygone time because it's cool. It's like a book. It's like an antique gun, an antique phone. But a bridge that was designed 100 years ago, whereas a bridge window is a thing that was designed that day that isn't in the canon, that doesn't fit between the two
Well, it was
eras.
designed in 2009 for the JJ films, and then all of a sudden it's now everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, radically different. So it's not at all what we were saying. Just saying. Yeah, I will say the spacesuit, Burner spacesuit, I thought this time round was as good as it could have been. Like, it doesn't look canon.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But I really liked it more. And they specifically, it was very, she said it in the same way thruster pack that Spock did, exactly what he did in the movie. They even used the same rough dialogue of the computer. It was very nice. I actually picked up that being a true reference to the first movie, and the design worked a lot more for me this time round, I think. I mean, I might have liked it last time, but I really picked up it this time.
Yeah.
I like it. CGI is great.
Yeah.
And
again, it still had that Star Trek vibe because they were
at this
exploring
point.
something new.
Yes. And at this point, we hoped it could be another alien race,
Yeah.
Now,
the next scene kind of bothers me a little bit for a few reasons. I'm just going to go into it real quick.
I don't think I've finished about the landing, though.
Oh, you're not? Okay, sorry.
It's alright. I'm behind on my notes, so... yeah, thrustback is done really well. But I noticed buttons, touchpad. Well, that's fine. Oh yeah, there's deltas inside her helmet mesh on the inner edge of her helmet.
Oh my god.
Why they're that? That's stupid. Okay.
Yeah. That's again very Kelvin-esque era.
Yeah.
Deltas all over the uniforms.
Centuries old Klingon thing doesn't look very Klingon, but that's fine. Just it's interesting. So who?
Well, it does look Klingon in context when you see all the Klingon ships later on.
Yeah.
It does. So.
But it's interesting. It doubles down because I'm guessing Takuvama, because this thing isn't warp capable. That'd be ridiculous. It's not even a spaceship. It's a thing. It's like a sensor probe. So I'm guessing Takuvama brought it here in a cargo bay, dropped it, and whatevered it specifically. Okay, yeah. So yeah, just the torchbearer is fine, but again doesn't scream Klingon. But it's a very unique ceremonial. But the scene itself is appalling. It's really cool. Build up, and then this chosen one torchbearer of a warrior race with a special ceremonial, quite expensive bat'leth, I'm sure. You spent at least 2 or 3 hours getting into this really elaborate, uniform piece with this cool helmet, and he makes one lunge, gets pushed and gets killed. He's in a custom EVA suit.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculously stupid moment. Because at least have a fight, at least have it be intelligent. It's not the stupidest scene because it makes sense to push into him, but it makes this torchbearer chosen by the Empire, or at least by Tuvma, look like the noob they picked out from the cleaning decks. He looks like the Finn of the Star Wars Empire. He's just a runt that happens. You know what I mean? It's this amazing warrior.
Yeah.
Worf. If Worf could see this guy, I'd think, no, he was not torchbearer. He was phony torchbearer, one of Takuvma's bad sect. It's a scene that clearly is made to get you from one moment to the next. The scene itself isn't meant to be a scene. She's meant to land, thing happens, she's off. Move on.
Yeah.
It's not a scene, it's a moment, and it doesn't quite work.
Dale Stafford, $2. Thank you.
Again,
Prophecy misspelled on screen. Spell check. Editors ? I don't know what we're referring. Oh yes, and yes, that's right. There is spelling mistakes in Discovery later when the simulation of Earth blowing up, like later in the series.
Okay.
They misspelled simulation.
Oh. Brilliant.
Because it says simulation ended and it's misspelled. Yes. That's just awful.
I can't spell
People
for
are gonna
anything. I'm not going to complain, but...
Well, that being said, though, I mean, Doug Drexler has an interesting story where environmental was spelt wrong on the wall of the set after they had filmed a few scenes. They noticed it for the original series on their cardboard sets with, crap. But anyway, and him and Michael Okuda made a joke about it. Maybe just in the future, spelling's changed, and that's just the way this environmental spelt now. So maybe that's the reason for prophecy and for simulation being spelt wrong in Discovery.
If Kronos can be spelled one way in one universe, one way in another, then in the Discovery verse it could be something else.
Yeah. All right. So you done with the landing?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm at Kuma's scene now. Just really crap warrior. I said like just really just bad.
All right, so the next scene is the torchbearer in the sarcophagus. Yes. Again, very cool design. Really, old and ceremonial. I like that. I still like the idea of the ancient Klingon sect and being separate from the original Klingons or the other Klingons, the houses. That's a great idea. It still works. But then they launch him out, and he attaches to the hull.
Yep.
Now, when is this happening? Because the ship is not cloaked.
Yep.
The ship is supposedly roughly the same spot. I think it was later. No one sees this.
Well, it's obviously not, but I know what you mean.
But they had to go get the body of the torchbearer.
Yep.
So they would have been seen, or some kind of anomaly would have been detected. It's just a huge plot hole because the ship was not cloaked when it attached to the hull. It's almost like that should have happened later. It was an oddly placed scene.
Yeah,
because then later it's been 3 hours after Burnham wakes up, right? 3 hours and nothing has happened, but they recovered the torchbearer, already put him in a sarcophagus, and already locked it to the hull.
And they seem totally chill about it. Oh no, our guy died,
and nobody saw anything, on from Discovery. I mean,
yeah, no, I said Discovery ship is not cloaked. I mean, you can see that there's nothing behind the ship, so they're not actually at the anomaly. So they could be further out. But again, my assumption, and this is really pushing it to the only makes sense, they're on the other side of the anomaly. So therefore, that's hiding them. And that another cloaked vessel, which isn't a thing really at this point, but okay, another cloaked vessel managed to get in and pick them up, the torchbearer. Because there is a dampening field. So I doubt if a single man craft, or even to be fair, a work bee, like a Klingon work bee, could probably sneak in. We know the scanners aren't working. They have used telescopes to do anything properly. They've still got access to the light craft thing. But yeah, picking him up seemed kind of odd. And then they just took him back to the non-cloaked sarcophagus ship, and then they just put the thing on. It's like, guys, your plan is really odd here. I guess I want to reveal they can cloak by revealing the ship earlier.
Yeah, it was just a odd choice.
And they did not care he got killed. And I will jump a little bit ahead. I realised this as we're getting right to the end. Burnham says right at the end, we need to attack the Vulcan hello. If we don't attack, they'll think we're weak. Girl, you killed their guy first. You've already Vulcan hello'd them.
We're going to get into that. I've got the series of events is interesting.
I'm just saying, you already did Vulcan hello them. You've already killed the guy. Done. Achieved. Move on. You attacked first.
True, I guess. Yeah. Well,
did it.
Anyway.
You murdered the guy. Accidentally, and you didn't realize it was there, but you still did kill. You still started the war with the first kill. I just thought it was funny. He calls it a crusade for self-preservation. Once again, the Federation haven't chatted to you for 100 years barely. We're not going to your territory. We're not trying to do diplomacy because they make it very sort of explicit in tone that we're not actively trying to pursue things with them. Giorgio says this could be the turning point for our races, implying there's not active relations really. Why would you think they're trying to change you? There's nothing in the Klingon culture. Post-TNG,
we come in peace, he says. Yeah.
Good for them, but it's like crusade for self-preservation.
That's what he was saying. The opening speech. That's what he ends with. Is what humans say to homogenize them as we come in peace.
Well, yes. When you go to them and say hi, they'll say we come in peace. When you actively start this and make them engage with you because they haven't, because they're not going to bump into you any other way in your space. It just his thinking is completely flawed, which is a big problem with if you start a show with a faulty premise. it does influence the entire thing. Yeah, there's a cleave ship out there. How many other ships are there already? Yeah, that cleave ship I want to get into the next episode, because why is there one other cloaked ship randomly? I don't know.
Well, they all warp in. A whole bunch of ships warp in. Some are probably cloaked.
But no, but the Sarkophagus ship is the only thing that has cloak. We know that.
Well,
that's what I'm assuming.
true.
The cleave ship.
But the cleave ship looks ancient as well.
That's what I'm assuming. It's one of his. Like he was a secret weapon ship, even though Giorgio says they're drastically outmatched.
But that's episode 2, so we don't know about that ship yet.
Yes.
So the Burnham wakes up after 3 hours. She takes off before her treatment's done to go to the bridge. Yep. Meanwhile, for 3 hours, nothing has happened, but she's all up in arms. We got to attack! We got to attack! We got to attack!
Yes.
Well, why? Why don't you just leave?
Yes.
It's just dumb. After 3 hours of the Klingons not doing anything, all of a sudden, oh man, we have to attack them.
Leave.
That's what they're waiting for.
Leave and bring back a ship that isn't 25 years old and outdated technology in every field that still uses phase cannons when phases are prevalent.
There's a super chat. Dale Stafford, $2. Do you think a Vulcan hello would work in Brixton?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't either. I thought that was directed at you. So
I'm assuming it is. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And this scene too, where she comes back on the bridge. This is where I noticed that the sound effects were just on point. There's this, stuff going on, alerts, and just perfect TOS sound effects. Awesome.
Yep.
I love that.
And
pulls you in.
And this is also where she starts to lose the plot. I know there's meant to be an arc of her coming back around to what the Federation is, but she's starting to get unreasonable as it goes further. Like you as the audience less and less can sympathize with her and want to rally behind this woman who is making, like the first thing you see of her in the first part of the first episode is she's not useful she's not really that useful apart from reading off a computer display what the weapon should be, how deep the weapon should be, and what yield. And she miscalculates the storm, doesn't have an idea of getting them back home, and from then on she goes to a she's not very good in the entire thing, and she gets worse in this bit.
And it was at this point that Sylvia, who was watching it with me, she pointed out an interesting thought. The Klingons they just a dead body or a body is just a husk. It's not anything important. That's later mentioned in TNG
multiple
and stuff.
Times.
Yes, but so they still put them in sarcophaguses and honor them. I understand this is a specific sect, perhaps, and we do hear in Star Trek 3 about a Klingon mummification glyph. So there is mummification in the Klingon culture. But it is just something to point out that, because I'm sure somebody would say it at some point, that, the Klingons just regard the body as an empty husk. It's not important after death. So, anyway.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, I think they're going to retcon this back into the second season about how this is a radical cult, and allow them to have the design still, but change all the old guys back. We know they're redesigning, and they do say not necessarily radically, but complete redesign. So I think they're going to... Because, I don't mind retconning. It would make a lot more sense, especially with this episode context, because while they have the cloak, while they have a ship, while they do all these things, having them be armor is radical, but hey, if you're a radical guy, and every Klingon can help serve the greater cause of the radical cult, put them on the ship. It's not going to help that much with torpedoes, and you've got shields as well, but, whatever.
RGD just made a comment. Why you people hate this series? I don't know if you're talking about the people in the comments or us. We don't hate the series. We're watching it again, and we're pointing out the good and the bad. There's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad.
We're just... I think we're justifying what we think. We're not just calling out, we're saying why everything. So if you don't agree,
not just...
That's fine, but...
We're not just spewing hate like a lot of other channels about it, so I don't...
We're analyzing.
I don't appreciate the fact that we get called haters or lovers, basically.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's beside the point. Yeah.
So yeah, they go to... So we get this flashback of the Vulcan bit. Now, originally we thought that was reference to JJ, and that was obviously a license thing, but that is in Yesteryear, that design. Yes, so that is fine. Yep. And it's a great visual. And I'll mirror my last time. I hate the Vulcan terror raids. Klingon terror raids. It's like, they're not terrorists. They are suicide bombers at the end. These unhonorable Klingons are terrorists and radical people and bad guys. But they're using all this language that you wouldn't associate with Klingons. Really anyone, actually. I mean, maybe Xindi, you could say. Xindi terror raids, if you wanted to be like the Xindi. Yeah, you could say the Xindi reptilians do terror raids. Bit harsh. Okay, they murder people, sure. But Klingons, is it honourable to just attack a civilian colony and kill women and children? Don't think that's honourable.
No, but it is a way to expand your empire, and that's how you do encroach into other territory, is by hitting outposts and stuff.
But then you wouldn't say terror raid. You'd say...
You wouldn't, no.
Attack. You
would say an attack, yeah.
Incursion, assault. It's and this is a Vulcan Institute, using the word terror. They'd be super precise, so we can assume that is literal. That these...
Well, yeah, and later in the series, that's pointed out, that they do suicide bombings and stuff. Yes, yeah. So they are a terror organization, as it were.
Obviously, there's 24 houses all different, and they're making that more clear, so it's probably one or two of the houses. But it's interesting how this is the past. You know, we haven't dealt with... We've barely seen the Klingons 100 years, but, 12 years ago, they had terror raids against multiple colonies. If they were attacking you, I think at some point you might have some problems and have some words with them and send a fleet. You can't keep asserting that they do bad things against you and they're not... You know what I mean? It's a bit weird. It doesn't quite connect again. And again, Shinjo Corridor, Shinjo Turbolift, why... Shinjo's old. Shouldn't look like Discovery. It's the same set. It should look radically different. Pisses me off, honestly.
We don't know what Discovery looks like at this point, so you can't do that yet. You can't say that yet until later. Episode 3, you can talk about that.
Okay.
Because we don't know what Discovery looks like, because there's no Discovery.
Then, so I can't show images of it.
There's no Discovery in Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, the next thing I have written down is full-figure hologram facepalm. Full-figure holograms of the Admiral while Giorgio's talking to him. And then later, Sarek.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Sarek is also a full-figure hologram that can actually sit physically on a table that's in the room that the hologram is being projected into. So is he sitting on Vulcan on a table that's exactly the same height, or is the hologram interactive with the environment around it? In which case, that's a really advanced hologram and way, way beyond the tech of the time. I'm confused.
Just Tenzgarai. Technically, the terror raids were already Enterprise. What do you mean? So let me know. I'm interested.
Oh, Madison Knight, 5 pounds. This was the first fall episode of Star Trek I ever watched, and I got to say, through my naive eyes and through Burnham's, and though I thought Burnham was right all the way through.
Really? Well, if you hadn't
let's attack an enemy that's sitting there not doing anything to us. All right.
With a bigger ship that outguns us completely, and we're at the edge
we
of
don't
our
know
space
that yet,
with no
though.
backup. No, she says that in the episode, and she mentions that at the same point when they're going to outgun them.
This is where the timeline thing comes in that I didn't really understand the first time I watched it. The artifact does this bright white light, which if you didn't have windows would be fine, but the filters on the window view screens were at full and still. Anyway, it does this bright flash of light as a signal to bring new ships in, and then there's a line of dialogue that I didn't hear the first few times I watched this. They did that as a result of the Federation sending its fleet. So because the Federation is now sending their fleet, they look like the aggressors. So now the Klingons are signaling to bring their fleet.
But it's in their space. You can't look like an aggressor if another force has gone to your space.
I know, but I'd never heard that the first time, because I was wondering what triggered this signal to all of a sudden go off when 3 hours later.
Yeah, they want
and it's because of Giorgio. Well, it's because of Burnham talking to Giorgio, who talked to the Admiral, who sent the fleet. So it's all Burnham. It's all Burnham's fault. This whole situation. If they just gone, well, that's an artifact. Cool. Let's log it. Let's leave. We killed somebody. I guess. I mean, they gotta investigate that. I guess. But I don't know. It's just it's a whole cluster. I want to say the word cluster.
Yeah.
FUCK of
cluster fun.
Cluster fun of bad decisions. Yes.
Well, that's
on Burnham's part.
That's really interesting. So Takuvma's plan, we know the goal was to get a full-on confrontation, to get the Klingons of his empire to be united against one threat. And his plan was to draw Starfleet to this place. But the connection point between, A to B, if you need a fleet, that's a very specific goal. What?
Sorry, Dale Stafford just commented, but the beacon would only travel at the speed of light, which is warp 1. And that's meant to summon the entire Klingon Empire. And apparently they can see it on Vulcan because a new star
Yes,
appeared in the
that
sky,
was
as
interesting.
Sarek
I didn't
said.
catch that last time.
Yeah.
That's weird. Well, they did say subspace at some point, so it's a subspace signal just happened to be visual light as part of the gag, because I guess just saying it sends out a signal would be too non-literal.
And
Torchbearer has
also
to be
had,
light, you know.
it also, yeah, it had an ear-piercing whine, and everybody on the bridge was like this, and then that all of a sudden stopped. Like, why did it stop? They could have kept that up. That would have been a great tactic against an enemy.
Why was the Chinjo's microphones on to space, which doesn't have sound?
Well, the whole would have been reverberating.
I know,
perhaps.
but they said mute that. They muted it, and they said, "Oh, now we're just hearing the hull reaction." So sound waves traveled through space, which is a vacuum, hit the Shinjo, went through the microphones to get into the hull. Then they turned that off, and then they still heard it through a vacuum, hit the hull. Wow, I blew my own mind there. I don't understand how sound works in space or how space works. Oh my god, that's amazing.
Do you see, guys, when we talk about things, how things don't make sense sometimes?
That's ridiculous.
Don't get us wrong. Don't get us wrong. All of Star Trek has these idiosyncrasies and mistakes.
We'll always point them out.
Yes, no matter whether we love the series or not.
Well, that's the thing. I want to go back to like a bad episode of Enterprise and just go through it. Because that's the point. Yeah, each show is this, and we're saying it as we go. This happens to be a poorly written episode. Yes, so phase cannons, I love the reference. They mentioned that, great. Giorgio again doesn't leave any impression.
Yeah, one of this scene where she actually confronts Burnham in the ready room, and computer privacy, and the door goes so people can't see in. I thought that was awesome. She does lay it down, and then she gets Vulcan neck pinched for her troubles. And Burnham is basically doing what she thinks is right, putting everybody's life on the line, not following the chain of command. It just her whole reaction to the situation is illogical. And considering that she grew up on Vulcan in the heart of logic,
yes,
and she considers herself a logical being, and she got advice from her father, which was bad advice, because that's how the Vulcans said hello, but they were prepared to deal with it.
Who also chastised her for being emotional, and yet this entire thing is emotion based.
And said, "Be careful what you do with this information." Anyway, she goes off, and anyway, that's basically the end of the episode, where she mutinies, and all of a sudden the Klingon fleet warps in, which none of them look like Klingon ships, so I don't know who they were. But Madison Knight, 2 pounds, because physics, right? But anyway, that's basically the end of the episode, where the Klingons warp in. So that's where we're sitting right now.
Yeah, I didn't mention a whole lot of stuff because we kind of
glazed over it. Well,
yeah, that's good though.
I want to make sure we hit it all, because we're already an hour and 10 in.
Pretty good. So I'm going to show images on the live. I'm showing the decloak for a second. I liked how awestruck they were, because that was good.
That's because we don't care about Vok, Jill.
Oh, what did I say?
Jill writes that you skipped over Vok, because it's inconsequential at this point.
I mean, anything we missed, we should go back to. This meant to be a good review. I don't have all the pictures. I mean, this was designed to be a whatever. So yeah, this decloak, and they specifically say this is unlike anything we've ever seen before. But 100 years ago, you had the Suliban, the Romulans, the Xyrillians, and a fourth race had a cloak, I believe. So you do very much know what cloak technology is. Why are you all so amazed?
None of them paid attention in history class at the academy. None of them have dealt with it personally. That's why. And those tales of Captain Archer and long ago are not important.
But they said we've never seen like that before. Archer saw 3 in 3 years.
I know.
I mean, come on. Cloak is not and he would be the absolute epitome of history book. Again, the reaction is poor. They should say, "Oh my god, Klingon with a cloaking device." That's the reaction.
Or we haven't seen cloaking technology in a long time.
Yeah. Or I thought turns to one of the crew and calls him by name, so we know what his name is. I think it's Ty. No, that's Ty. I don't know what his name is. He says, "It's a Klingon ship, isn't it?" Yes, power signatures record Klingon. I thought we had our anti-Suliban cloak detectors working. Yes, sir. This must be a new technology. Cool. Moving on.
Tezingari said Trekyards possibly the size of the cloak ship surprised them, like in Star Wars. No ship that large has a cloaking device. I mean, No, it's flipped
Very
around for
true.
Star Wars because no ship that small has a cloaking device in Star Wars. But
This is very, very true. I will say this picture, when we first see the Shinjo and Skywalker ship, very dark, as we know. I do like they're not on the same plane. Sorry, we skipped over that. Yeah, so the Tyler Vox scene. Sorry, the Vox scene is not Tyler yet.
yeah, I kept calling him Tyler Vaughn whenever I was talking to Sylvia.
Yeah.
Look, there's Tyler.
Oh,
spoilers.
we called that many weeks beforehand.
Oh, Kev M Scotland, £2. Have you seen the new Lenovo USS Enterprise PC? Yes, we have, and I've posted a link to it on the Trekyards page. It's really cool.
Yes,
it looks like a FASA variant. But anyway,
yeah. So this Tyler's Vox scene. I don't know about you, but I could hear Shazad Latif's voice in it now. Like, now you know he's this actor through the like, I could hear that was it was his voice. It was actually more blatant now knowing, because he's got a. So I was like, okay, cool, that's the guy. It was interesting to see him sort of back again, even though it was his first time. And I did like the foreshadowing nature of that scene. He puts his hand in the fire and says, from this fire I'll be reborn, and obviously through this fire in this instant he is reborn. So that was it's only 2 bits of foreshadowing in this episode that I could see. So I appreciated that, this other character who is in this episode. I like that. Although it makes you wonder, what is the point of a torchbearer? So the first torchbearer was on the torch that before it was shone in a spacesuit with a weapon. And then, although I think someone said originally that he was inside and he came out because they detected Burnham. That's fine. So he dies. Torch gets activated. No, I guess he must go onto the torch, because the next scene is when the light shone. So I guess he's the one that has to be in the armor that turns on the beacon.
Maybe, yeah.
And they pick
him
ironically,
up after, symbolically, he's an albino, so he's white. So his skin is like a bright light.
Yeah. What's the purpose of a torchbearer? I guess it's just ceremonial. It's funny how the other torchbearer guy refused. It's like he doesn't want the job so much. Because I'm asking, will this be enough to make a war to make us all unite? I'm thinking, yeah, is it enough, really? Radical
Benjamin 0119. That's basically saying the same thing. You guys are nitpicking. What are you talking about? I'm interested to find out.
Well, we're analyzing.
Something we're talking about, or are you talking about sensors still? Because there's still a sensor versus optics thing going on in the chat.
So I'm not trying not to follow.
Well, yeah, it's just people don't attack each other in the chat. I know there's differing views on Discovery, but let's just talk about it and move on and follow along with what we're saying. And please, there's no sense attacking each other in the chat.
Speaking of, there's a scene where there's a hologram, which would work great. Post-TNG doesn't quite work here. It does mention thousands of years old for the oldest sarcophagus on the hull.
Yes.
So I wish it was a genuinely 1,000-year-old ship. Then you get the hologram scene. I also
a lot of torchbearers have died apparently, if they're all torchbearers in the sarcophagus.
Wow.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know if they all are. They could be just members of the thing. But
a good question actually, because are they just dying of old age because no one's ever lighting the torch? If
exactly.
They're lighting the torch. Who takes the torch after they light it to then be dropped into the next scene to light it, and then the entire Empire comes running. And they said, well, it's a prophecy. So, God, you just ruined another bit of their lore that they didn't quite think through. Lovely. This hologram chap, we know now that he's in warp at this time. Because he says the fleet's on his way. He's made that decision before he's in this call. So we now know there's real-time subspace communication between a ship at the edge of known space, of Federation space, and another ship at warp far away. Is that could you talk to a ship in warp? Like, I can't remember from the shows. If Voyager's in warp, could a ship out of warp hail them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, is it they're in subspace? How are they getting through a subspace bubble?
I understand. But yes, I think that's something that doesn't bother me necessarily.
I just realised he was also at warp, so it's now the edge of the quadrant and he's at warp. And again, real time doesn't work for this either. And then Burnham mentions the things, and obviously we're jumping around a little bit, but I realised the Admiral calls her out as a racist, which I thought was interesting, because she's actively saying because they're Klingons, they will attack. He says she's racist. So interestingly, obviously the Klingons are this version of Klingons, this Takuvma sect, are trying to be the radicals, which is a parallel to Muslim radical terrorists in this format. And she's being the classical white American man being actively racist against the alien race. That's the parallel they're doing for her, which I thought was kind of strange. Because, yes, she's right, they do, but no Klingon, except the two radicals we've heard, the initial radical terror attacks, and these guys, none of the Klingons coming in would attack you normally. This single Klingon guy is going to attack you. None of the other guys are going to attack you off their own back. They don't care. They're busy doing their own thing. So you are right, but because you're dealing with a radical. So super current radical Muslim terrorism parallel there, and calling her racist. And I was like, she has more and more anti-Klingon as we go. And it's like, guys, you've had 100 years with very few incursions. I don't think they're going to start blowing you up for the sake of it. Unless it's a radical guy, which happens to be. I
want to address a comment from Doug Clemens, one of our Trekyards admins. So you guys talk about how holograms are too advanced, but yet we see them in Enterprise 100 years before Discovery.
But not by Earth.
Yeah, like...
We see time holograms from the future via pseudoband technology, via the future, and they're also not as good holograms.
They're shit.
Yeah. Even so much that the original idea was it was going to be Archer that's communicating with Siluk. So, but no, they don't have normal holograms.
But there's no lead up in Earth technology to the holograms, and there's no follow up from TOS, the movies, TNG. TNG, you get a few holograms on Picard's desk at one point in season 1, and maybe 1 or 2 that you see. But
yeah. And I have no problem that Burnham used the net pinch. We've seen humans.
Who cares about holograms? Well, people care about holograms because we talked about holograms. That's why it's super cold.
It's just
anyway. Stop attacking each other. This is this chat's getting to me a little bit because I knew this was going to happen, and it's just be nice.
I'm just
anyway, continue.
I'm enjoying just rediscovering this and seeing new things that didn't make sense, which is interesting.
If they could have done holograms in the 60s, they would have.
Yes, but they weren't. So that's the canon. It's just
because TOS is a period piece, whether you like it or not. So
that's the 2250s.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, hologram man, racism, Sarek. I find it strange that that she walks in, doesn't bleep him, that she says, computer, phone Sarek, basically. And he not only is available to pick up instantly, and in an area that has a full hologram emitter set up that he can also, and with a seat right next door. That's lucky that he happens to be available with 0 seconds warning from wherever he is. Real-time communication from Vulcan within 1 second. That's really lucky of her. Like, if she... Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, Andy's a hologram that can interact with the environment in her office because he sits on her desk. Somebody mentioned in the chat too that in Deep Space Nine they had full holograms on the bridge, and they did for like 2 or 3 episodes, and they made a big point of that's new technology. Yeah. Turn around, it's working fine, and then it went away because it was proved to be, I think it was distracting as a visual, so that's why they really took it away. But apparently the technology wasn't quite what they wanted, so sure, they're full-size holograms Deep Space Nine. I 100% agree with you, but they didn't last long.
Yeah, holograms are already part of the canon. So yeah. Burnham walks in and goes against her commander. She's so vitriolic. She says, trust me. After 7 years, trust me. And it's like, this woman is more, this Captain Georgia is meant to be a legend, has more experience. She might have actually dealt with Klingons before, that aren't just, whatever. Like, you have 0 information. You don't know anything. You know nothing about Klingons except they killed your parents. Okay, that's horrible. But you should not judge a species by a single person or a single action, especially when the Empire is a huge empire with 24 individual houses, which they've implied are all radically different, and this whole big spectrum. Like, why judge a guy from Ruapenthe that's a native to I know it's not present natives, but to a guy from Kronos? She's so aggressively this strategy. She's these 7 years of being in the human company, she really lost everything Vulcan about her, which is weird because then she pulled that all the way back in. I know she's learned from her mistake, but the character makes a big... I know she's probably meant to, but it feels very odd. Especially since the next episode we see her in the past. She's so Vulcan. Like, she loses all the Vulcanness, makes these bad decisions, and then gets it back again. But it's like, it's just a bit... Suspension of disbelief is a little bit stretched with her feelings. Yeah. And boy, the crew should be on the side of Giorgio. It's like, we didn't see a Klingon. We're trusting you here. There's a ship there. They haven't attacked us. They haven't even said hi. You know, the Klingon...
They haven't threatened us at all in 3 hours that you've been in sickbay.
The Klingon hello is, we're going to do nothing. The Federation hello was killing a guy. Remember, guys.
And then preparing and loading torpedo tubes ready to fire at their... Not their ship, but their beacon.
Shouldn't they be impressed that Klingons haven't shot them yet? Because you killed their guy first.
Yeah.
It's impressive that Klingons haven't done anything yet.
I got to address Nigel Savage's comment, just in regards to what I said twice about the hologram sitting on the desk. Trekyards hologram sits at the desk. All desks in the Federation are standard regulation height. Winky face. Yes, I guess so, but he's on Vulcan. And
well, no, we don't know where he is, to be fair.
Well, true. But he sits down on her desk. So, I don't know. It just... The room he was in must have had a desk in the same location because the hologram would have been full. I don't know. It just... It's a small thing, but it's annoying. Sorry. Continue. Yeah. Anyway, and Doug's went on to say that the Vulcans had holograms in Enterprise, but they were informational holograms, not full-figure communication. So, yeah, I get that holographic technology is around, but...
Well, that's why we can go as far as to say the stuff with the thing appearing in front of them and looking at it would work just fine, but not like full subspace real-time holograms that are high-def and beautiful. And
you can walk around, and the Admiral looks over his shoulder to see Burnham. So he must have 2 holograms in his office.
Yeah.
It's just because that means there's holo projectors. Yeah, that means there's holo projectors all around. Where in Voyager... They have holo projectors in sickbay, but not on the rest of the ship.
Why is the Shinjo more advanced than Voyager? And bigger.
With way more advanced holograms and way more holo projectors. Doesn't fit. Sorry, guys.
Canon's there for a reason. You know, when you jump the shark with things. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. Anyway. So the neck pinch is fine, although it's just funny that it's such a failure. It lasts less than 2 minutes.
Oh, she went through the uniform too. She wasn't skin on skin, so maybe that's why.
Yeah. So she orders torpedoes. Stuff goes on. I'm scrolling through the images there, and then Giorgio comes out with a phaser, points at a real escalation here. Not security to security to the bridge. It's I'm gonna point a gun at you. Wow, that's an escalation. Because you understand that you have to point a gun at her to stop her. You walk out, yell, and say everyone don't do what she says. And then the tactical guy just de-arms torpedoes. Like, would you really see Picard walking out of his ready room after someone and points a phaser at... Like, it's a... I guess trying to show he's a cool, badass captain, but there's smarter ways of dealing with that. Or, like, computer force field around Burnham or beam her to... They've sight to sight in Discovery. I don't know, that's just stood out more to me in this episode. Her come up full steam with a gun.
Yeah, it doesn't... makes sense really when you think about it. Because it would take the captain to come on deck and go, don't listen to her. And you're right, the tactical guy would be like, all right, disarming.
Because everyone's not buying it. Like, no one's buying it. They're actively not doing what she says. And Saru's great.
And Dale Stafford just made a comment. Phaser design is on point, and I actually had that in my notes as well with the communicator design.
Yeah.
The sound effects, the communicator redesign, and the phaser redesign are good pre-TOS designs that really fit in well, I think. So yes, I totally agree there.
Yes, they well, those are it's weird. The Brian Fuller helped designed props are on point. The Brian Fuller designed Klingons, interior designs, are not on point. It's weird how we can get one bit so right and everything else pretty off point. It's kind of strange. And guys, do super chat if you want. We haven't seen any super chats in a while, so please do say hi. 171 people. You know, we rely on your support, guys, as we are sort of mostly done through this episode. So the light turns off, and then the Klingon fleet comes in, warps, and my first thought was, I now know how big the Shinjo is. It's bigger than the Connie. Wow, every single Klingon ship in the galaxy stylistically is much bigger than the Connie. Why aren't these ships seen later on? Because boy, every single ship the Klingons have are bigger than the best ships of our era. Wow, they really desized every other part of their timeline because the Shinjo is bigger than the Connie. Ooh,
Yeah.
bad choice there, guys. Because I'm fine with the sarcophagus ship being that big, but they should have all been smaller than Shinjo. That would have been cooler. Like saying these are all the warships. Shinjo is not a it's a light science ship. They say in Star Trek Online, it's a light cruiser, and it's old.
Mm-hmm.
So have them all be smaller. And sarcophagus ship, they need get them to look big against the sarcophagus ship. And note when they warp in, how close are they to the sarcophagus ship? By God, that's efficient warping in. I mean, that is just like, well, they're huge ships. They're still thousands of meters, but it's like really, yeah. Eek. Yeah.
I don't want to get talking about the Klingon ship design quite yet. That'll be an episode 2 thing. We considered watching episode 1 and 2 together because they're basically one story, but we wanted to keep this under 2 hours, so we're at 125.
And test this.
And this is a test, yes. So I think one episode, maybe we'll squeeze 2 in, but we'll see. Just this one and the second one are so much their own thing. No Discovery yet, so yeah.
But it's interesting to watch this one in its own context without the second part. And also I noted that they swapped terminology. They say target phase cannons earlier, and they swapped target phases. I guess they forgot they use phase. I mean, they can use both. I'm fine with that, but
it's a transitional phase. People aren't used to the new phasers yet, I guess. Still calling them the old. Like, for instance, when you and I record for a Trekyards episode, we say, "What time you want to film?" Well, we're not using film. We're using digital, so we're recording. We're just using the old, adage, right?
I just bet you when whoever took second draft of the script, they didn't know that they'd always phase cannons. They swapped the old. Whoever wrote the first bit knew the reference. The second bit they didn't. They just used phases. Yeah. So I just that stuck out to me for some reason.
Jill Wright, $5. Thank you, Jill. I think the red jeweled tips on Takuvama and Laurel's armor signifies bloody teeth. Yeah, and it looked cool too. It was great ceremonial spike armor. I like that.
If you settle down the impractical stabbiness of that, like if you sanded it all down to more like ridges rather than points, like a Klingon face, those armors would be just gorgeous. They're too impractical and not. I mean, we saw the Klingon guy who killed himself with his own weapon in 5 seconds. So I'm sure multiple Klingons hurt themselves with their own armor every day, and that's just part of the... I mean, hey, Klingons bash their heads into each other for sport. They stab each other with their armor for sport.
Oh!
That's what you do.
Anti-Trekker showed up. $5. Thank you, Anti-Trekker. I gotta do my evil Joker for him. Or anyway, if you haven't watched Anti-Trekker, go watch Anti-Trekker.
Yeah, I've seen a few bits.
But $5. He says the USS Kelvin had cannons and beams, so I'm okay with it.
Yep.
I'm coming for you, Anti-Trekker.
Although, as we know, that's sort of not prime alternate, prime not alternate, all that jazz. They also had a brewery for a engineering room.
Don't start.
And
Anti-Trekker.
concrete in their engineering room. On the
Anti-Trekker, I spoke to Samuel. I guess we're going to have you on the show at some point soon. Maybe next week we can work you in, talk about something. But
yes, technically Kelvin's prime, but it wasn't designed to be prime, which is an important thing. Right. It's weird because I watched your live the other day, so it's kind of weird to know you're watching our live. Well,
I've tuned into quite a few of his. We've become technically Kelvin is prime. No, Kelvin is not prime.
No, technically Kelvin is prime. It wasn't designed to be prime. It's like the Franklin. The Franklin was not designed to be the era it was set in. Sean Hargraves was given the task to design something 300 years before TOS, which would be the 1800s, because they didn't think about that. It's just an old design, and so it was lucky that it looks like the way it does, because it wasn't designed that specifically. He didn't even know the NX-01 existed, so it can't link to NX-01 because he didn't know the NX-01 existed. But Simon Pegg did, so he said phase cannons. So it can be technically prime, but not be designed to be prime. Which is the problem with like these things, because if it's not designed to be prime, then suddenly you're actively making a mistake in the process.
Well, as Optimus Primal from Beast Wars would say, that's just prime. Wayback Tech sends a $5 super chat.
9265389. I think.
Oh, that's pi. That's not wrong.
Oh,
Way back tech.
I'm stupid.
We're just gonna
I'm
ignore
sorry.
that.
Thank you.
No,
Edit.
you're not.
Edit.
Anyway, yeah, edit that part out. Oh, that's right, it's live. Wayback Tech sent $5 super chat. What character stands out for you at this point in the show, and which one do you like the most? At this point in the show, I like Saru the most.
Oh, from this episode? Oh, God.
Yes,
That's
if you're watching it the first time, Saru stands out to me the most. I hate Burnham with a passion. Not a fan of Captain Giorgio. Yeah, I would say Saru is the one at this point that I most locked onto and enjoyed. Even going back and watching our original review, that's what I would have said, because he actually, in the first couple episodes, is actually really good, and then his character just falls off at the end of the season. So,
yeah, no, Saru is the most interesting character. Burnham starts okay, gets progressively weaker during the piece, whereas Giorgio starts, I mean, nothing really, but actually by the end, the fact that she stands up to Burnham, talks about the regulations, everything she says from the middle onwards is smart, is justifiable, is good, and she really builds upon her character. Well, she thinks her character is just command officer. She isn't really given a character, unfortunately, which is weird because Saru is given a character. Although I said before, a lot of the dialogue in this episode is for the audience, but not conducive to making sense. So Saru explaining the Kelpians, it's like, you've known each other 7 years. You're telling me it took you 7 years of working together every single day and sniping each other every single day to explain the Kelpians. He would use that all the time as a get out of jail free card. So it's audience stuff. Like when it was in TNG, they had to explain the holodeck to people because it was new. You know what I mean? They used, I'm sure a lot of, it's like they didn't explain the uniforms to you because they were just part of it. It's things you can explain via visual and not by audio, and it wasn't very well written. I noticed a few lens flares in this last scene. That was a bit strange. Wow, they waved out the mega close-up of the sarcophagus ship. I don't know what that means, but okay. I think that's the end of my notes. We're still on the gun shooty. What image shall I end on, Stuart? And then obviously we'll take questions and sort of do whatever. What image shall I end on?
End on that one with Giorgio pointing at Burnham, because I wish you would have.
Oh, I thought we'd end on a fleet shot because the Klingons are coming out. Maybe.
Well, if you want, I don't care. I like the one with Giorgio aiming the phaser.
I'm gonna make the shot brighter because the super dark bit of visual effects. As I had to do for our episode because they just made it really dark.
So, guys, we appreciate the super chats, and thank you for which character stands out the most for you. It was a great question. So if you guys have any questions for us, anything like that, let us know.
Yeah, because we do done with the episode. So.
Yeah, we do want to take this to 2 hours if possible. So another half hour, which is awesome to wrap up and get some more super chats would be great.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have any fantastic animations like Trekyards does for donations. Every time somebody super chats, they get to pick an animation he has, which is neat. So if you haven't checked out Trekyards, I'd say go check him out. We've kind of got to know each other a little bit in the last little while, and he's a good guy, and we plan on having him on Trekyards at some point. There's the official announcement.
I'm sure if I could go back to the archives and we could have, like, for every $1 show a different ship flying, because I have, hundreds of animations. Could do.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea, actually.
I don't know. So I've got enough of them. But yes, this is general question now, guys, for Discovery. We've rewatched episode 1. At the end of this live stream, we're actually going to play our summary of the episode from last year and hear it for the first time between us and see what did we say as a summary and what was our final review score, because we'll review it again and see, do we match up? Because I do not remember what I said a year ago.
Yeah. Baz T sent £2. Enjoyed tonight so far. Now a patron. Well, thank you very much, Baz. Much appreciated. Wow, if you guys can over to Patreon and help us on a monthly basis, that's greatly appreciated. I want to address Wing Saber as well.
Yep.
You guys should do a rewatch of the other series. We would love to. If this works out as a live thing and you guys have fun interacting with us, we would love to not only watch all Discovery, but all the other series as well. I think that'd be a fun way to do it. So.
Well, because what we're finding is that it is tricky to make enough money to keep going on YouTube, but these extra formats are really exciting because you get to directly support what you want to see. It's what we've said about Patreon for a while. Patreon is the backbone. If you got 2,000 a month, that would be enough of a backbone that we don't need to do content that we feel like would make money as much as what you want to see. So if these are things that enough of you want to see, and you can support us enough within the live structure to make them worthwhile, then you're voting with your super chat. So you want to see more of this, which means you support it, which means you get more of them. And I can imagine us doing, just random Voyager episodes, TNG, or even do like Patreon polls. Which episode of what show do you want to see? We'll do it just like this because, as we said before, we call out the good and the bad because each show should be. And we did the
and they all have their bad.
Yeah, and we did a very good TOS episode that was all big, broad compliments. But if we do bad episodes, we aren't. I mean, we always try and be honest. That's important, because why just be filled with hate? Why ignore things that are clearly bad? It doesn't do the show any justice to not hold them to account for the cloaking device, and all these different things. So if you let them know, if we have these discussions, it would be good to, and you guys support
Madison. Madison Knight, £2. What do you guys
Thank you.
think of the title sequence visually? I have that in my notes. Samuel's kind of decided to skip over it, which is fine. But I thought it was visually very interesting and a very cool way to do the intro. I do like the blow apart communicator, and you can see the internal workings and stuff. I thought that was really cool, really well done. And it actually has the TOS communicator in that opening as well as the phaser.
Yep.
Not a lot of people notice that, but it's there.
Which
so it's
shows
interesting.
CBS owns the design still, because they're Prime Designs.
Yes. So yeah, I do enjoy the visual style of it. It's fantastic. I don't know if they're going to change it up for season 2 or if they're going to keep it the same, because we've seen in the other series they usually change. Deep Space Nine changed visuals as the show went on, and also the music was much different. Same with Enterprise, got more upbeat in the later seasons. So
yeah. I mean, the DS9 one was much better. The later season one, I enjoyed the Enterprise one. It was more jazzy. Voyager was the same the entire way, but that was beautiful from the start. I mean, that was the best tile sequence. And TNG stayed the same as well, and that was very beautiful for the time. It just wasn't as visually.
Alexander Kolchak, $2. Thank you, Alexander. When will the next Trekyards? When will the next Trekyards shirts be coming? Did you get the pinup shirt? Because we did the Trekyards insignia shirt, then we did the pinup shirt. We have more Trekyards pinups ready to go, which I might be able to show you guys soon. But yeah, we're going to be doing more shirt releases soon, so stay tuned. We'll post on the Trekyards. Yeah, we'll post on the Trekyards Facebook page when that is a thing, and give you the link where you can order. So
very cool.
I'd say within the next week or two, I'll do another one up. So
I guess let's do, while waiting for super chat. So what is your summary of this episode then, having just gone through it all?
Where's the discovery in Discovery? That's my summary. No. Like I said, this should have been done in flashbacks. It would have been cool to have Discovery introduced and the main cast introduced in the first episode. This is just following Burnham, and I'm not interested. I don't care. That's what I said the first time, I think, as well. It's just not very Star Trek, in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, it's like I said early on, the first couple scenes with the exploration and the fixing the satellite, the work bee, it was pretty much on point to what a Star Trek series should be. Exploration, fixing a satellite, cool. I just, in my mind, I always have that it should be post-TNG era, and it just doesn't say pre-TOS to me, so it really takes me out of the moment. I do enjoy it as like I said, if it was post-TOS or post-TNG, it would have been perfect. In my opinion,
well,
exactly
just lazy storytelling as well. I mean,
yes,
visuals.
Yeah, like the first half kind of grabbed me. The second half lost me.
Oh, opposite for me. For
of
sure.
This episode. Yeah.
Episode. Oh yeah. This episode for me is it showed a lot of potential. It wasn't about war. It was about learning, about characters, about the morality of Starfleet. And you do get some nice visual effects in this one, which you sort of get darker as they go on, and they don't quite look as good. And you can see the budget was really overspent in this episode, and then underspent other places, and it does make a difference. Obviously, the art design, none of it works particularly well, but we know that. I'm just talking about the actual episode itself. It's less good than I remember, because the scenes themselves, a lot of them when you break them down, are written even worse. It feels like sort of first or second draft. It's not a tight script. It's not a very refined script. It's not a very, it's a super average to mid-average episode of Star Trek. Like, super average. You know what I mean?
I got it. I'm going to cut you off there for a second. I want to address a comment. Benjamin 00119. You're hung up too much on visuals and things not looking like cardboard and blinkies. No modern audience would sit for that.
I mean, Star Trek fans would, which is quite a large
many Star Trek fans would, and they have. We've seen it in Imminent Darkly, Trials and Tribulations. They've recreated those sets precisely because it is a period piece. We've gone over this. You can light it visually better now, but still have the same effects. And you can also slightly update it so it still looks the same, but not like cardboard. And I don't think the original sets did look like cardboard. Occasionally, because of high definition now, you can see the wood grain and some of the stuff that's painted. But I really hate that argument. This can be, the 60s look can be recreated and look visually updated and modern and look fine. So I don't agree with that statement at all. But
yeah, I mean, think of the audience that's out there. The fans in the 60s, they're the ones at the letter writing campaign. They're the ones that showed up at conventions and such to get more Star Trek. They're the only reason the guys had a movie. And then because those fans that like TOS went in and saw the movies, you got TNG. Because TNG was watched by Star Trek fans, that got multiple spin-offs. Because multiple spin-offs happened, JJ managed to get a spin-off, like a separate movie. And because that contract ended, Discovery got made. So without the Star Trek fans, the hardcores at the start, who buy the merchandise, who've supported it since the start, you wouldn't have Star Trek now today. So you should really respect the core fan base, because those are the ones that are paying the way. Average people won't get CBS All Access to watch Star Trek. Why would they? Star Trek fans will, but some of them didn't. You can easily take the shapes. I mean, I hate this argument because it's so obviously easily done. You take the raw shapes of, say, the TOS bridge. You replace all the monitors with LED fancy screens. You replace all the top things with fancy LED screens that you can make 3D holographic, doesn't matter. You sleek out all the angles a bit, and maybe you can scale up 10%, 20% so you can get bigger cameras in. And you completely make it self-lit with no extraneous lighting. Boom, updated, but still visually canon. Like the communicator, like the phaser, or that's an early version. It's visually reboot, visually updated, but looks the same, rather than ignoring and just making new. So
yeah,
people would accept a cleverly redesigned TOS rather than a complete abandonment of TOS to make something new and claim it to be the same era, which it isn't. There's ways of doing it and they did it wrong, and you don't know what you
guys have to keep in mind that Star Trek TOS is the future from the 60s. That's how it was portrayed. That's how it should be portrayed, because it is a period piece. It shouldn't be the future of our future now. That's what TNG basically was, or Deep Space Nine, things like that. They extended it from our future, but still kept true to the original TOS vision, all in one fell swoop, and that can be done. Don't assume that TOS is a throwaway. Nobody cares about it. Nobody thinks it looks good, because you're wrong. It is something that people are passionate about, and that people would want to see, and it is the future of the 60s, not the future of today. People got to keep that in mind. You can still make it look visually interesting. It's the TOS bridge still looks futuristic to me, in my opinion, anyway.
Well, it's just a really good design. It's a better design than Discovery Bridge. Seriously.
Doug Drexler says the exact same thing. So
I mean, you look at the Discovery Bridge, and you can't see every console. It's too far away to talk to people. It's
useless. It's useless for the captain. Yeah. Plus, everybody has see-through holographic screens, so you can see the rest of the bridge behind your display. Yeah, it's confusing and not
piss poor design in comparison, because good design is still good design.
Jill Wright sent $2. Please don't quit before you do episode 4. We won't. We'll stay on top of this. And Wayback Tex have sent $5. Star Trek Continue sets were awesome by updating looks without just detracting from the original sets. CBS should take notes. Continues
I don't use that as an example.
No, because they made it look like the 60s with the lighting and everything. But in A Mirror Darkly, for example, same style bridge, but lit differently. It looks fantastic. I was just rewatching it like a week or two ago.
Blur, all those cool things,
It looks great. So it's a bad argument, guys. It just doesn't work. Sorry.
To say you couldn't make it look modern is saying that you can't make anything old look good anymore. Guess what? There are good designs out there that can do it. That's why you have retro cars, retro bikes, retro books, retro machines, retro, and they get redesigned and tweaked and modernized. It's called design, and rather than abandoning TOS, they should really have embraced it. And you know, we've seen fan things that do it justice. You know, it's fine. People want to, you know, that's the thing. We're trying to argue a point, but if someone doesn't want to take what we're saying, that's absolutely fine. Like we can't win against someone that doesn't want to believe it. But you know, we're pretty in the law, pretty in the community. And
There's a sorry, I got to cut you off. There's a great comment. A good old gamer said, and for people who don't like knobs and levers, Tom Paris in Voyager, the furthest in the future so far, made the Delta Flyer with all those things based on an old, you know, TV show. Good point. Neff sent €5. Kelvin, Discovery solely exists because of Trek's history and fandom. That's why it's incredibly sad and shameful how badly they treated both.
Yeah. Would be fun if they'd done a really cool show. I think we've said before, it'd be fine as a reboot visually if it was a good show, like a really solid show. I mean, I don't know if you've seen Flash, Stuart, but certain shows just get you and you think, wow, that's a really amazing flow. Flash season 1 is superb. It's like, wow, everything, just the characters are so vivid, the dialogue is so on point. Okay, there's some problems, but they're so minimal in comparison to the quality of the show. And you watch Discovery season 1, it's like, wow, there's so many problems and there's so little quality that helps it rise up, but we watched it anyway. Is, you know, especially since there's so much pressure and things to get it right. It looks good, but you could very easily remove the Star Trekness and it would be just another sci-fi. And we said, I think we must have said that at the start of it as well. It's the least Star Trek of the Star Treks. That said, I did call out Doug Drexler when we talked about the NX-01 design style. If you took away the Star Trek name from Star Trek Enterprise, which they did at the start, if you looked at an NX-01 corridor just by itself, you would not say out of 10 sci-fis that was Star Trek. You just wouldn't. It doesn't look Star Trek. The bridge, you would say, oh, that looks like a 60s Star Trek design, but you wouldn't associate any of the tech with Star Trek. But it was designed to be the future of now, with linking to the future of Trek, TOS, which works beautifully. That's how it's designed. 'Cause it's so close to now as opposed to TOS. This is so close to TOS that it shouldn't look anything like that and look like TOS. But again, good design could make it, and I wish I was a 3D modeler, because I would love to build a digital updated TOS bridge.
Yes.
That I guarantee I could build and design one, and I'm sure me and Stuart as a collab, that fans now and old would think, oh, that's a really cool looking bridge. 100%. It was an art team that said, we're not going to do that. Because do you remember the Eagle's Bird of Prey issue came out, and one of Brian Fuller's directives was, can't look like a Klingon design.
Bravo! Well, job well done.
Okay, and
the Starfleet ships can't have cylindrical nacelles.
Bravo, well done.
Okay, that makes no sense because NX had them, TOS had them, even to some extent the Lost Era with the Enterprise C had them.
Yeah. And then the production designer of Discovery said, "Oh, we're not going to use TOS." Oh. Yeah. When you start from a failed thing, it doesn't quite work. Updated the original series with updated metallic colors, but the same essential bones would be fantastic.
Yep.
Yes.
We got another super chat.
Oh, have we?
$10 super chat from Frank Black. He said, "I'm enjoying your conversation tonight."
Well,
and a lot of people have been saying that, and they like this format. They like this discussion. So this is something that we will continue to do for you guys, because this is fun being able to interact with you and discuss our thoughts live.
You know what I think we should do, though? Because I hate people saying we are Discovery haters, because we're not. We just review it as we see it. I think we should look at a less good episode of another series, maybe even this coming week, and then show people this same exact formula, but for an honest to good Trek episode, how we would review it differently. What do you think?
We wouldn't do it differently. Yeah. I'm totally on board. We'd point out the good and the bad, and this is a mistake. You know, this is whatever.
Okay, so shall I challenge people then? For $20 in Super Chat, for $20, somebody can determine what series, and for 20 they can determine what show, or 2 20s, or should I say less than that? Okay, first person that gives 10 can pick the series. Then next person that gives 10 can do the show, and then next person that gives 10 can get a shout out because we love them. So $10.
They get a shout out regardless whether they do super chat or not.
So two of you can actively either screw our Wednesday or make it the best Wednesday ever. But we hope for a challenge. So mediocre episode would be good. Hey, I'm allowed to, man. We've got bills to pay. It's really important. We pay those bills, otherwise we're not doing well.
Well, way back text said, Trekyards, please do this format when reviewing season 2 episodes. We will, but I think we're still going to do this original thing we did before. As we said when we started this live stream, before we got on the air, the live streams aren't really rewatched very much. Like a few months later, if you see a live stream that's 2 hours long, you're not necessarily going to watch it. Yeah. Whereas our episode reviews, that are actual reviews, they get rewatched all the time. So we'll probably do both. But I don't know if we'll do them the same week. Like we'll probably do I don't know how we're going to do it.
Well, I've got a hope for what we're going to do. Because quality content is important. I mean, that's the point. I mean, we're not trying just to be commentators because, like you said, in a few weeks, someone's going to care. And you try and make videos as streamlined as possible. This is not a streamlined video. This is an experience with you guys. It's very unique, and then people who want to listen to us in the background can watch this after the fact, as I do for other people's lives, and even your captain's logs and things, Stuart, that are longer form content.
The super chats take us off topic, and that's not what we want in a focused review. But we do want to address you guys. So the super chats kind of get in the way of this kind of format working for an episode review, unless it's after the fact. You watch the first one, or you come back and watch our live one, whatever you want to do. But the first one's still there. That's focused exclusively on the episode, for people that really want that without going off the rails, going on. See, it's Chad Anderson, $5. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
TOS and TNG, the ship and the brig was a charter. In Discovery, they were sets. I don't know what charter. Am I reading that wrong? Corridor. There we go. Yes. True.
Character. Character. The ship was a character, and Discovery they're just sets.
The ship and the brig. The brig wasn't a character. Oh, the bridge. Ship and the bridge, yes. I've said that all along. The ship is definitely one of my favorite characters. But yes, I agree. Both were characters. And Discovery, they were just sets. Exactly. Yes.
And Wayback Trek says, I think you're making more money on this format than ads, so I think you should do both. Or better for this format. Yes, but quality content should come first.
Yes.
Because we're not just, we're not podcasters. We do content. We do, word content and scripted and such. My hope is that we can do.
This is a bonus.
Yeah, this is a fun experiment. It's going quite well. My hope is that we do on the Monday, I'm assuming, do a 20-minute review where we try and really keep our notes short. I edit that quickly because if it's quick to film, it's quick to edit. And then we say, check us out live for the full discussion later on. So you get best of both worlds rather than spending an hour and a half doing the review. And thank you.
See what you did there.
And me spend 4.5 hours editing it and then an hour rendering and uploading an hour-long review, which is still as short as we can make it. If it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes, just really the highlights, not scene by scene, it'll be absolutely a lot better. And then we can get both. And people can watch a review and then watch our live and then watch a review and the live at the same time. 2 screens, because we have 2 screens each.
Reviewception.
But yeah, guys, seriously, for anyone, $10, and we will do... so anyone can basically decide our fate, maybe more on Wednesday. $10 for the episode, $10 for the show, but, like... It needs to be one of each, I guess. But that means they've got to be together. Oh, okay. Someone says a season, someone says an episode number. So, like, one person has to say TNG, and one says season 7, episode 3. We have to do that. So you can really screw us over, guys. Or just wait for the first person to say which show, and then pick the episode.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Come on, guys. $10 each, and that does actually make a difference to us as a channel, which is genuinely.
We'll write the third pointed something out here. They lose 30% on donations given here, which is true.
Yes.
Everything you guys donate, 30% gets straight to YouTube. But I don't have a problem with that because YouTube allowing us to do this format is awesome, and YouTube
saving the
really,
channel.
Yeah, YouTube really need that. I don't have a problem with YouTube. Anyway,
it makes you think that for $30 they get 10. That's scary.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Ricky Radio, $5.
Thank you.
To be honest, I would be less worried about Discovery and far more worried about the new Picard series. This will determine
Yeah.
the future of the Star Trek Ultimate. Yes, true, but we can't speculate on things right now. I mean, we have speculated, and a lot of people have been, but we want to wait till it gets closer. And of course, we'll talk about all the updates as they come in. And once the show's on the air, we'll be doing the same thing with that. We'll be doing episode reviews and live chats as well about it. So,
Yes.
but yes, I agree. The future, well, future Star Trek somewhat hinges on the Picard show. They could do it really well and make everybody happy, or they could drop the ball, which, yeah.
Well, the fact that Jean-Luc Picard himself, Patrick Stewart, was in the writers' room as they're doing work, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
And Tim Theo, hi Trekkers, I just a direct $10 donation to your PayPal, but I don't want to pick the show. Yeah, because some people have messaged me specifically saying, "Can I just donate directly?" Yes, I mean absolutely. And if you do say,
Sylvia's here.
Oh,
Somebody just commented the pug doesn't fit. Doesn't fit what? The bed. Yeah, I know she's a little bit big for the bed. Sorry.
Oh, she's right.
And by the way, Sylvia wants to join us for one of these live discussions on an episode of Discovery in the future. So, just not today because things were going on. So, but if you guys are interested in seeing Sylvia join me and the commander to talk about it, that'd be interesting. Let us know.
And yes, thanks Tim Theo for the $9.33 Canadian. Once you take out tax, I went and checked because shout-outs are important. But guys,
and as Anti-Tracker would say, it's our fake Canadian money.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, $10 guys, and we can do a show. Although as someone said, point out, if you want to give $20, you can decide the show as well, which is kind of scary. They suggested threshold from Voyager. Hey, give us a bad episode. I would love to see an episode because I don't tend to just watch Star Trek. Like, I've seen them all, I've got a good memory. If you tell me any, like Stuart, mention an episode randomly from one of the main shows, preferably not TOS, that's my least knowledgeable. Won't be as impressive. But like another show, and let's see if I can tell you like the storyline of that episode. Maybe not the title, I need a little bit of information. Like, give me a 1 second brief about an episode, and I'll see if I can tell you everything else about it.
Oh my god, I don't know. What the hell, man? Voyager episode Fear. There you go.
Yes, Fear. So they find this pod. It's like a little space, like poddy thing, stationary pod, and they take it on board. And it's like 4 people, but 2 are dead, or 1's dead, and they're all trapped in this mental link. And then Harry goes in to test out, and there's this amazing clown. Damn good episode. This clown, and he teaches them fear and stuff, and it's really well acted, and there's great performance people. And Jemma goes in and says, fear's big.
All right, we get it. You understand it. Yep, that's good. All right.
I love that.
Somebody said Masks, LOL, and I've heard people bad mouthing the episode Masks.
I haven't seen that in so long.
I love that episode. That's very Star Trek. The whole discovery of the comet. Something weird happens. All of a sudden, they find out there's
3 daters, or is it 4 daters? As in Brent Spiner actors.
I think 4, yeah.
Because I remember
it's fantastically done, and it's about discovery. It's about an ancient, I think it's the heart of Star Trek. People say it's such a bad episode, and I disagree.
I just remember good acting, as in like you can have bad good acting. You know what I mean? Like, you bought his weird performance can be good acting. Like, going outside of what they do could be good acting.
Mm-hmm. We got like 2 minutes to the 2-hour mark. I don't know if we're gonna have to pick our own episode.
Oh,
I think.
no. You're letting us...
Somebody said, not to disrespect your opinion, but how can you think Deep Space Nine is the best of Star Trek? Because
I don't
it is.
say that.
I say it is.
I think TNG is because they got the best balance of everything. And they got on average... the best episodes...
But I think the best writing and character development is in Deep Space Nine.
Yes, but...
After season 3.
Yeah, but I also like sci-fi in my Star Trek, not just people. And especially like they ruined Bashir at one point, and then they killed Jadzia, and they keep doing,
Madison Knight, £10.
Yeah.
Well, Voyager, please. Also, we got
Voyager.
Voyager. So there's the series. Now we just need an episode.
Okay, somebody 10, either dollars or pounds, and you can pick the Voyager episode. Either screw us over or love us. Preferably in the middle though. Yeah. because DS9 is great, but I wouldn't like put it on to chill out. I wouldn't put it on to enjoy like as a relaxation thing. And also you need to know that series to be able to dip in.
Well, in Canada here in space, every day is a different. They go from like 3 till 7 of TNG one day, TOS the next day, Voyager the next day, Deep Space Nine the next day. So every day I go upstairs and I'm done my work for the day. I just sit down in front of the TV and I got Trek to watch, and I do it while I'm cleaning in the background. It's clean in the background while making supper. You know. Oh, Anti-Trekker threw in $10, and he picked the episode Threshold. So we know which one that is, and you know what? I don't hate that episode. I hate
Warp
the ending
10.
of that episode.
Warp 10, yeah. Everyone.
I don't hate the episode. I hate the ending of it. The beginning, I think, is actually fairly good. So that'll be an interesting discussion.
Well, let's take the Cochrane and let's go to Warp 10. I haven't seen a lot of episodes in so long.
I probably saw that a month ago, but I'll need to rewatch it again for this.
Great.
So thank you, Anti-Trekker. You better tune in to that live.
Yes.
I'll let you know when it is.
It's Tom Paris when he is like, I'm trying to look young and attractive male, generic hair. Because he grows into his body more. This is season 2. Wow, I thought it was later than that.
Yeah, I did too, actually.
Look at his hair. Wow, they look young.
Well, there we go, and we're at the 2-hour mark. So
that marks our closing bit, which is playing the review we had of. Oh, okay, almost. Well, you let me know when that time
$2.
Oh, thank you.
I would love the child. Oh, I hate the child. Or up the long ladder.
Hey, next super chat. I tell you, well, why don't we do that every Wednesday? We can do another episode. Oh Jesus! And you guys can donate to the next one.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Well, we're testing it next time. Thank you.
All right. So let's play what we said last time, I guess.
Okay. So this is I've got it queued up. This is going to be our review.
Oh my god.
This is the end closing. It's a couple of minutes, guys. Yep. And we're going to stop talking and we're going to listen to the review. So it's our summary from last year. We've not watched it again. Let's see what we thought in summary. Go.
Bye, guys.
Oh, fade to black.
I don't hear anything.
So, Stuart, final thoughts, because this was a hell of a review. Thoroughly enjoyed. You guys enjoyed it. A lot to discuss. Episode 2 will be less to review, guys, because less happened and there's less. This is the set of the universe, so we have more to talk about. But this is the start of the Discoveryverse, so we want to really do it in depth. What were your final thoughts on episode 1 of the 2?
Had a lot of great moments. It started out really strong for me, like I said, with the relay and stuff. I thought it was very Star Trek-esque, and then it kind of fell apart in a few spots. Some of the technology really bothered me, like the holograms, things like that. Like I said, Saru was great. I do like Admiral Anderson, but I'll talk more about him in episode 2. Cool. I thought he was an actual really, really good character.
How do you play Monopoly with
video? You're delayed, but there's an ad in our video.
Overall, I thought it was an impressive first outing. But it missed the mark and kind of dropped the ball in a few spots as far as Star Trek goes. And I got to say that episode 1 is better than episode 2. And that's where I'll leave it for now.
Well, the quick thing of filmmaking-wise, like technically-wise, how does it stand for you?
Oh, it's impressive. The acting wasn't great, in my opinion. The writing wasn't the best. But visually, they did a lot of fantastic directing and a visual style, which is definitely its own thing, and that I kind of like. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I think it was a strong first episode. I came away thinking so glad I got part 2 to watch in about 2 seconds. I really want to know what happened. And yeah, the acting was fine. No one, like I said, it was not an ensemble piece, and the lead is fine. But again, this is the prequel. This is the prequel before the main stories, so we haven't got to know them really. Yes. It was well shot. It was, again, this one is obviously the set design bothers us. The spaces bothered us. All the Trek continuity bothered us, except the new bits, which are interesting, like 100 years, phase cannons. There's some, and the sound effects were awesome. There's lots of little. Literally, I said when phase cannons, like yay, and the 100 years was like ooh. Lots of little moments like that I really sort of tuned in on because we're very in that sort of world of stuff. But yeah, like I say, this one definitely strong in part 2. Not to say you should enjoy part 2, because you're going to watch the review later on. You will enjoy part 2. But yeah, definitely a fun, interesting episode. Good pace, good build-up. It was great to see so much Klingon perspective. And obviously the promise of we're going to see other houses, we're going to see other style of Klingons was great. You know, the potential was there. This was a great self-contained little story with big implications, and its potential was ramping up, ready for this part 2.
And I gotta say, there was a lot of meat on the bone as far as storytelling went. There was a lot packed into that hour.
Yes, in this one.
It felt very intense. Unlike Orville episode 1, where in our review of that, I said it felt like less than like a half-hour show.
Yeah.
It just didn't have the meat. I mean,
yes, this one certainly did.
This one had a lot going on and a lot to focus on. I don't know if it's just because we've been looking forward to this for a year and a half, and because we're Trekyards, we're picking everything apart. I don't know if that's the reason it seems so intense, but it definitely had something there that was that gave it some meat.
And I will say, I was able to watch this very happily as both a fan of media, a Star Trek fan, looking at cinematography, because it ticked cinematography, it ticked, all this stuff, and because I've already accepted it's not going to be the Trek of the time in terms of continuity, I also have to look past that and notice the things that are cool. And I saw lots of little cool things. I wish I'd done more. Holograms obviously is a bit ridiculous. And yeah, like I said, this one left me with thinking of promise, and it was exciting, and some weird things with Torchbearer, and some really weird things, and I probably would have rewritten it. I think this episode was probably, in terms of writing story, like an 8 out of 10. Like, strong, but you could probably refine it and change a couple of things to really get it better. Take out a couple of
give
things.
it like a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10 for writing.
Well, I mean, overall, like as an overall package, an 8, I think. It started strong and it went on.
Oh yeah, it started out really, really nice.
Yeah, I think probably 8 for the pilot. First part. First part of the first pilot, so there'll be 2.
I'm still gonna say 7 for me. So
okay, well we'll split and say 7.5, which is 3/4. Yay! Well done. So there you go, guys. That is the ridiculously long, fully in-depth look at the entire episode with discussion, theorization. I think we both realised new things and saw new things thanks to each other's notes. So glad we're here to do this, and we need to go film part 2. So thank you guys for watching.
And
Stuart,
we don't
say
need to
goodbye.
film part 2, so I'm going to fade me out and let everyone listen to live me. So what do you think there, Stuart, of our...
I think I was spot on with what I said this time.
That's eerie, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's good though. It just it shows,
I love how vague we were, actually. I mean, that was the summary, but it was all about potential. We're excited to see more, which I think very much reflects what I've been saying this review. I'm excited to see more.
Yeah.
Although I definitely would not give it an 8 now.
No.
I
don't think I give it a 7. I might give it a 6 now.
Yeah, like a strong...
But that being said, 6. I did enjoy it. I did enjoy watching it this time, just sitting down, and I enjoyed the beginning of it, but it just fell apart again for me, so...
Yeah, a strong 6 and a solid 6, but yeah, that so many scenes were poorly written and didn't really... The story wasn't cohesive. It didn't all combine. But again, it's TNG season 1. If you give us TNG season 1, we'll probably give them like 3 and 4s out of 10 occasionally. This episode was god awful. Whatever. So there we go, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed not listening to myself, but listen to the retroactive bit. And some people noted about our cameras. Yeah, we've both since upgraded the webcams, because a year ago we used the older Logitech HD cameras, and I think my internet was also slower back then. Didn't make a huge difference, but whatever. And you're also seeing us small. You saw us smaller than the screen, so we look high definition with more resolution. And now we have 4K cameras and faster internet speed, so you're going to get a better resolution anyway. So yeah.
Oh, Dale Stafford, $5. When dealing with thugs on a Vulcan, hello is violence. I guess a Vulcan goodbye is a hug and a smooch. Well, we'll try then next in Brixton or Brooklyn. Cheers. Thank you. Yes, going back to what you said about Brixton and Brooklyn, I saw the Brooklyn comment earlier. Yeah, walking up to somebody and punching them in the face isn't a great way to say hello. It's not a great way to avoid confrontation. So that's a great analogy of how stupid this idea of Burnham's was. So, yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, she did already Vulcan hello them by killing the guy first.
True.
And the Klingons had no of their own hello. Because the whole point of the Vulcan hello was that Klingons attacked first. But in this situation, you went onto their monument first, you self-defensed, you killed their guy first, and then nothing happened for 3 hours.
Until you decided to arm torpedoes and then bright white lights and signals.
I don't remember what happens in season, the next part, who attacks who first. I don't actually remember, so that's kind of a good thing. But there is no Vulcan or Klingon hello, so it's whatever. But someone pointed out Hellraz96. I really look forward to these rewatch reviews going forward, because I remember
that's good.
As we go on, you guys slowly dislike Discovery more and more, while liking Orville more and more. Yes, I remember that too. Although I think we then got more liking Discovery right at the end, so it's kind of like a huge process.
Yeah. Yep.
I definitely want to, first watch review all these episodes and then do a second review. How our numbering is going to radically change because we've just taken it down by 3 points combined.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. This has been a success. We will be doing this again next Sunday with episode 2. So watch it ahead of time. We're not going to have you sync up or anything because that's not how we do these with the super chats. But it's interesting to take a look at the episode first and then come and listen to us talk about it again. And we're looking forward to that. Plus, more. We're going to do Threshold and experiment with that one. Talk about a different Star Trek series because we don't like getting labeled as haters or lovers.
Nope.
We just point out what's good and bad in everything.
Although it is worth noting that Voyager Threshold has an advantage of looking like Star Trek Prime, acting like Star Trek Prime, with no visual continuity problems. So like we're not going to say, ooh, that shuttle looks like a rubbish design that doesn't fit into Prime. So obviously straight away we're not going to have as many surface level problems because it was designed by the team that worked on Star Trek for like 2 decades. Decade. So it's going to be better in that department, but then we can focus on story and characters more, and we know the concept's not like the best thing ever to execution. But I'm excited.
Yeah, and guys, I gotta say, I decided last night to make a Trekyards main channel Discord.
Oh,
so
what's this?
Go on Discord. I have no idea, but I hear it's good.
Good summary.
So I did create one. So guys, look up Trekyards on Discord. I guess it's a audio messenger thing.
Audio? So, it's another messaging service. Yeah.
Yes, different messages. So check us out. Trekyards main channel is what it's called, and look forward to speaking to you guys there as well.
You know what's fun about Voyager as well is that obviously you through this show have seen a lot of the CG stuff like I have, like through the show. Yes. So you know the Voyager model a billion times better than you ever did. So looking back, I can actually comment on CG problems, like that's scaled wrong or that blinky's wrong, like because I know these things really well. Like I was just skimming through Threshold and I'm seeing the ship launch from the shuttle bay and I know that's the wrong texture for the ship. Like I can see these things, so that'll be interesting.
Well, you can point that out in your discussion then.
Yeah.
But don't be too nitpicky because
that's kind of the point.
Because we love Star Trek Prime. We're not gonna pick it apart.
But Discovery is Prime.
All right. What?
Awkward. But yeah, thanks guys. We appreciate all the support. It makes a huge difference. These things allow us to keep the channel going, and every buck makes a huge difference. Everything makes a big difference. And yeah, great turnout today. Glad you guys could all turn back. Hopefully you guys will turn in on Wednesday. So we're letting you know now, if you've enjoyed this format, all 135 of you, please do come back at 10 p.m. my time, GMT, on Wednesday, 5 p.m.
Which is 5 Eastern
Standard Time.
Standard Time, yes.
And I guess 2 LA Standard Time. So tune in if you can. A lot of us do work
Pacific
at home.
time.
Pacific time. So please do watch the episode and tune in. And any final note on how we're starting this Discovery journey, Stuart?
Any final note on what?
On restarting this journey again with Discovery?
I'm looking forward to the discovery of Discovery a second time around, because we're discovering it again, even though we discovered it the first time. Dad jokes. Anti-Trekker is going to hate that because I'm funnier on his channel apparently. But whatever.
Because you did
From
point out.
hell's heart I stab at thee. For hate's sake I spit my last breath at thee.
I agree completely. Grim Panda says you need to put the Discord link into the chat if you could, Stuart.
If I knew how to do that, I would. I'll figure that out.
There we go.
Just look us up on Discord. Trekyards. Look it up. I'm sure you can find us. It's searchable, I think. I don't know. Stuff.
Yes, and I will say thank you, Stuart, for making me aware of stuff I didn't pick up the first time round, and plot holey things, and Really interesting, actually. Some
We
good
do that
stuff
all the
there.
time. We always spark each other's,
Yeah.
imagination, and we point things out. So yeah,
Okay, putting the pen down and putting the pad away. It is going. I'll do a final.
time to go eat supper.
I'll do a final flyby of the newly introduced USS Shinjo.
Perfect post Nemesis
Yep,
era ship.
very, very good. Even with the red stripes, which we know the Enterprise Z has more important color palette with the blacks. So
And maybe I was going to bring Discovery down, but then I realized that Discovery doesn't even show up till the 3rd episode. So I thought I'd bring the Shinzo.
maybe.
So maybe in episode 3 we can.
Maybe we should do like a super chat funded Discovery alternate season 1 opener, where I take episode 3 and then intercut episodes 1 and 2 as flashbacks and see how that would look. Because it takes some time to edit, so if we could like super chat support, we could always like, because I think it would be really cool to start the series of episode 3 with this character's now in a prison jumpsuit in a shuttle. That's such a good opener for a show. What the hell? So anti-Star Trek, and then she flashes back into all these big things. It would be really cool, actually, don't they? I'm just saying, it'd be really cool.
Yes, this is a long goodbye.
This is the Trekyards goodbye, as that was a Vulcan hello.
Aha!
Thank you.
That's good. See, that's a dad joke coming from Samuel, not from Captain Foley. I'm just pointing that out. That was good.
That was a worth it conclusion then.
That's right. So until next time, guys, check out all of our videos. We have a lot every week. Cool. And we love you guys.
Yes. Alrighty, guys. Oh, he's frozen. He's frozen. Is he back?
I'm not frozen. I'm here.
So until next time, guys. Until next time, guys.
Bye.